our wayward, Shawn. Our first speaker of the day is Shon Kingrey of the Kaiser Automotive Group.
Good morning and welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. Shon Kingrey is with us, Vice President of Fixed Operations, Kaiser Automotive Group. Shawn, you are all over this event.
I am, and I appreciate it, Ted. I appreciate the opportunity. You know, again, we talk about it, I think, every single segment, the amount of people and the connections you get from this. You know, we talk about Traver and John Fairchild and Joe Lockhart and Traver. I mean, again, it's all because it all comes and funnels through here.
You know, the other night we had some trivia questions for the FORTSTOCK event, and one of the answers was the Green Bay Packers. And I thought for sure that there was some collusion there, that you were involved, because that was the correct answer. I thought you were involved in that.
And I did know the answer. And hypothetically, no, there's no collusion. No, I had no part of that. The funny part was when that aired a couple of weeks ago, I happened to be in Green Bay that day when that one aired that night with the ad. Yes.
Now, where are you today as we speak?
Today I am in Sauk City, Wisconsin. We have 3 stores here, a Ford store, a Chevy store, and a Chrysler store, all across the street from each other. This is the birthplace of Culver's Restaurant. That's their claim to fame here.
Well, I did not get to see Sauk City when I was there. We were in Madison, but what are the franchises? And it looks like a fairly modern setup you have there.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 are. Long story short, the Chevy franchise, the Chevy stores, it was one that we bought a couple of years ago. Great facility, all brand new, express lane on the service drive. That's probably our best operating express lane in the group. Runs out of the Chevy store in Sauk City. I'm in the Chrysler store right now. Obviously near and dear to my heart, being a Chrysler guy. Has an express lane, does well. The Ford store, which is across the street, we recently just purchased the land. There's actually a Subway on property of that store. That's the one during the pop-up event. Sean Baxter talked about one of the 2 new buildings that we're building. That'll be at the Ford store.
I was impressed with your facilities in Madison, that beautiful Lincoln store you just put up.
Yes.
Really state of the art, and no silos, right? Service and sales are all together. It's all one.
It's all one. There's glass walls that need stickers, by the way, because you'll find yourself walking into them. But you're right. And I think, Matt, who was on the pop-up event with us, what was the first thing he said to you? Let me give you a tour. Yes. And that's all about that. We're working really, really hard group-wide to change the culture and have no silos.
I was really impressed that you had Matt on the pop-up event when I was there, Shawn. That was the first time we ever talked about sales to service handoff and back and forth from service to sales. And he spoke with expertise on it, being retail. But it's such an important part of what we are supposed to do, yet most dealerships know they should do it, but they don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that during the pop-up event, because I don't pull any punches and I won't lie. We talk about doing it. I talk about doing it, and we don't do a great job at it. The nice part about having Matt, and Matt can be pretty theatrical, but Matt gets it and does a good job of it. And it's funny, the advisors that get it, because what I always say is, what you sell today, we service next year. What you don't sell today, we don't service next year. So there's a big connection there. So if you don't have a sales and service handoff, you're going to miss.
Yeah, no question about it. All right. So Shawn, we did the pop-up event together in August in Madison, Wisconsin. I got to meet the Baxters, 3 brothers. Just amazing coordination you've got there. Talk to us about that relationship. Sean Baxter, clearly the leader, the president of the group, but they've got great vision. And I asked, one of the questions I asked them is, why did you bring Shon Kingrey on now at this time? And I thought he had a great answer, for where the industry was, the number of units in operation, and all the opportunities for Kaiser.
So my predecessor had been here for 40 years, and I have a great relationship with him, Mr. Erickson. He was a COO, and he was in charge of IT and fixed ops. Fixed ops wasn't their focus. They're no different than most. They're a sales-driven company. And I think they realize with the amount of mileage and the lack of inventory that fixed ops needs to be part of it. And Ted, I don't say this because you're on here with me. They found me, as you know, through you. If it wasn't for the Fixed Ops Roundtable, I wouldn't be in Madison, Wisconsin. Well, which for those that don't know me, this is like heaven. This is home for me.
But you're going to get some people who watch that and think, I'm in a warmer climate. Does this mean I'm going to end up going up somewhere cold?
Well, no, it's true. Listen, I left Destin, Florida to come to Madison, Wisconsin. But Ted, Yes, you got to see it in, August and September when it was nice, and I get that. But if the people are good here, everybody else is good here. But back to your question about the Baxters, they see the drive behind fixed operations. And when I met with Shawn a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about progress and where we are, and we're up $2 million year over year and over 8 stores. And
are you really? Wow.
Yes, we are. And August was great. July was a good month, but July was a short month. August was a big month, and we had huge numbers. I mean, monster numbers. My goal was, I think their ultimate goal was to be up 1 million. My goal was to be up 3 year by the time we get to December. And again, we're just getting started, Ted. Like I said, we've put Traver in place and John Fairchild and Owen Moon's in place now. And with X time, we're just getting started. I mean, it's only up from here.
Wow. A lot of talk in the industry right now. A lot of things happening. The talk has been EVs, of course.
Yes.
A lot of mobile talk. Our good friend Ed Roberts has really done a wonderful job with that. And now more and more dealers are getting involved in that. Your dealer, we discussed that at lunch when I was there on the very last day at the pop-up. What are your thoughts on mobile service? I know you're going down to see Ed next month in October. He's got a big book signing, in case you haven't heard.
Once or twice, right?
But what are your thoughts on this new convenience trend of going to the customer?
So I'm going to take that twofold, Ted. Is first of all, what is about to happen, and I've talked to Ed. Obviously, Ed and I have a good relationship. Shawn Baxter was so enthralled in the idea. We're going to, Shawn, myself, and we're going to take our service managers down to St. Augustine as a group. And we're going to see his 96 techs with his 98 bays, because that's a whole different mindset and a different approach. The second thing we're going to take, having 3 Ford stores, is the mobile service, because his idea of mobile service is different than most, obviously. We're in Madison, Wisconsin. We're 6 months out of the year. It's probably the most beautiful place to live in the world. The other 6 months can be a little hairy, okay? And how do you do mobile service when there's a foot of snow outside? But we're gonna address that. We're gonna talk about that. And we're going to look at that as a group. We're going to take a field trip with 8 service managers with the dealer principal and see how Ed does it. Because if Ed can do 36 trucks, we sure the heck can do 3 to 6 trucks, I promise you.
36 additional trucks.
Sure. That's right. 46 total. That's right.
Yeah. So what a treat to go down there, the Ford's Garage restaurant. And you get to, it's really an experience at that store. And I noticed you've got the same feel in the stores that I was with you. Talk to us about this importance of culture today in the dealership, because we talked about that a whole lot when I was up there.
We did. And I think it does start with the Baxters, and that's not because they're my dealer principals and my owners. It does believe in them. They have a culture. They don't like silos. And I think that there kind of was a silo prior, being that we were so sales driven. And now we're extremely, as much, put it this way, FixOps has as big a seat at the table as Variable does. And it wasn't that way a year ago. And that's no fault of their own. I don't think that makes them any different than most dealer principals at this point. We have GMs at each one of our stores, GMs that most of them aren't well versed in fixed operations, and that doesn't make them any different than others. The advantage is they want to learn and they want to grow. And the stores that have accepted it and have grown with me are doing very, very well. I mean, when I say, 30, 40% year over year changes, those are real numbers. By the way, same staff, same people, just changing the culture.
You've got some female service managers. We met with them on a panel. They were very impressive. So were the female service advisors we met. But I want to talk a little bit about the managers, because, they have a lot of experience in the industry. And, I think you said, was it 4 out of the 8 service managers are ladies? They
are, and Ted, they're unique, because I've got one that's been here for a very, very long time. And by the way, she was one that when I got here was struggling, and now is my number 1 store. All right. And again, it was getting the team involved in changing the culture in her shop. She had a shop foreman that was difficult, to say the least. And now we have him drinking the Kool-Aid, as we call it. And I take him to lunch every week when I'm up there. And now it's a completely different environment. The store I'm in right now, we recruited her out of a different Chrysler store, and she brought an entire crew with her. So she brought that culture with her. We have an acquisition store, our Janesville store. Karen, who does a phenomenal job. We call her Hop Along because she broke both legs at the same time. But again, inside joke. But we acquired her, and then we've got Kelly, who you got to meet, who runs our Watertown store, who we promoted from within. So all 4 completely different backgrounds, and all 4 are doing very well.
Shawn, here we are, mid-September, coming into fall here. I think like today or tomorrow, we're there. Okay. Weather's going to change in Wisconsin, Shawn. And by the way, I'm taking you up on that. We're going to go to that Green Bay game this fall as well.
I will hold you to that too, by the way.
And I will hold you to that as well.
Yes.
What are your thoughts for the balance of the year? What are your plans? You know, I know you've put the game plan in place. You're implementing it. You're running now. You had some resistance along the way. That seems to be, going by the wayside, which we knew it would. What are your plans for the balance of the year?
So for Q4 for me, definitely John Fairchild's up and running. With service drive training, walkarounds outside of the store that we purchased in Janesville. Walkarounds just didn't happen in this group. They wouldn't do them, refused to do them. Now they're starting to drink that Kool-Aid. Joe Lockhart's in all of our stores doing recruiting. We are like everybody else. We need technicians. Okay. And listen, you talk about, who wants to move to Madison, Wisconsin? We're an hour and a half away from Chicago. We're not that far away. So realistically, my next goal for Q4 is to continue what we're doing, but to make sure it's anchored into Q1. And then as we go to Q1, there's a few surprises coming, I promise.
All right. Someone thinking of getting into the automotive industry now, a new person, you've got a lot of career people who've been with Kaiser a long time. Yes. Of course, you've worked with other groups. You've seen other environments as well. Mm-hmm. If you had to encourage somebody who's thinking of getting a career in automotive, in fact, whether it's a young person or any age,
yes,
what would Shon Kingrey say to them right now here at the end of 2023?
Different answers for each one. I actually met with parents this morning of a technician that's working at one of our different stores. Only child, by the way, and the mother was an only child, by the way. So they were unique individuals, but a career path for the technicians. And we talked about during one of your panels, Ted, is you have to career path a new technician, and you have to career path the technicians that are getting older too, because there has to be a good, positive way out. You're not pushing them out. You need that knowledge. You can't push them out. And again, like service writer, we have a writer. I'll give you an example. We have a service writer in one of our stores, in our Watertown store, that were recruited out of a Quick Trip store, which is a convenience store, a Super America, or 7-Eleven, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're located at. By the way, she was there for 18 years. 18 years at Quick Trip. We recruited her. And by the way, she'll be one of my number one advisors. She didn't know what a spark plug was 4 months ago, but she had the culture. She had the right being. The old school where you say you used to recruit waitresses, you used to recruit waiters. Those days are back, Ted. You got to find somebody. You always don't need the guy who's been doing it for 20 years. It's okay to train the new one as well.
Okay. A lot of your peers are watching today, Shawn. People who do what you do all over the country, all over the continent, all over the world. What advice would you have for your peers watching today in fixed operations now at this unique window, this exciting time in our industry? And we talk about a lot of things on the panels that you're on this event. We have more ahead, but what advice would you have for your peers?
It's probably, again, I know I got it from the cover. Thanks to you again, Ted, and Ron Overs with FixOps Magazine.
Thanks,
it's all about the process. Stick to your process. Stick to your guns. Stick to what you know works, okay? You can't be afraid of change, but what we do and what you stick with, it works. All right, 29 years of doing this, and I'm not allowed to say it that I'm in my fourth quarter anymore, but the process of doing this hasn't changed. Stick to what you know. It's all about the customer. It's all about the employee. That hasn't changed. Fixed operations is more important today than it has been in my 29 years in the car business. Inventories, as we all know, through COVID come and go. Through the strikes are coming and going. But the one consistent is fixed operations.
All right. Everybody, Shon Kingrey is the Vice President of Fixed Operations. He's at the Kaiser Automotive Group in Wisconsin. What a great group. It is all domestic vehicles led by three brothers, the Baxters. They do a wonderful job. We got to meet a lot of his people, and you'll get to meet them here on the FixOps Roundtable. We'll have a number of excerpts on the pop-up events. So, Shawn, thank you for all you do for Fixed, and great honor and privilege to have you as part of the anchors of the Roundtable.
And Ted, thank you for all you do for, I know Tully and I and Ed Robert, we all beat the drum, but thank you for what you do for fixed operations too.
Shon Kingrey, everybody, kicking off our day here today at the FixOps Roundtable.
We are FixOps Digital, Automotive's premier service marketing and technology company, and creators of the industry's first and only website service experience platform, Spark. We offer fully compliant fixed operations pages and coupon designs unique to every OEM. Our Why Service Here website page and video highlight what makes your dealership unique: certified technicians, OEM parts, online service scheduling, and complimentary amenities. Complete the online service funnel and bring customers to your scheduler with service conversion pages. Each offer on your menu page links to a page specifically designed to educate the consumer while increasing appointment conversion rates. Repair financing integrations for Sunbit and Dignify, so your customers can see as low as payment options directly on the offers. When customers save an offer to their mobile device, a prompt to enter their contact information appears, turning them into a service department lead. Bring in customers who need recall service and collect vehicle data. We've created a recall lookup through license plate numbers. No VIN necessary. With Spark, your service offers can automatically post to your Google Business profile. Our social ads are dynamic, so your ad prices automatically update with your offer menu pages. Dynamic ads mean more consistency across channels for clearer messaging. Spark has over a year's worth of industry-leading GA4 data. FixOps Digital is a founding member of the Automotive Standards Council for GA4 events, and we're dedicated to helping give dealerships a deeper understanding of their website's customer engagement. Data-driven offers management means more service conversions, the lifeblood of what we do. Ready to increase your dealership's service conversions? Connect your fixed operations departments to Spark, the industry's first and only website service experience platform.
FORTSTOCK's all about celebrating the arts. And what better way to do that than with Art Shaw, CEO of RepairPal.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. And it's time now to hear from the consumer, and nobody better to tell us their perspective than Art Shaw, who is the CEO of RepairPal. He's been a big friend of the FixOps community for quite some time. He's quoted throughout the event by a lot of industry experts. Art Shaw, welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. I'm super delighted to be here today.
And Art, may I say, you look fantastic. You look amazing and dashing. So, you know.
You won't catch me in a tie too often, but for you, Ted, I'm here.
Art, thank you so much. We're humbled to have you. And as I mentioned, RepairPal is, I see it everywhere being quoted. It's throughout the event here and throughout the industry. And there's nobody really better to tell us about car ownership trends from the consumer's point of view, not our point of view as dealer operators, but really come to you for that perspective. So Art, kind of kick us off today with, what you're seeing happening there.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. It's super important because, people who are here are running very important businesses, and they're very complicated businesses. There's people, there's parts, there's real time, there's customers, there's profits and costs. And so sometimes it's hard to take yourself out of that day to day. I know it is for me sometimes running RepairPal to understand what's going on with the consumer. So I thought I'd share a couple of thoughts. I'm going through the process right now of buying a car, and it's a really wonderful process. A little costly these days, of course, but it's great. What happens to consumers once they buy a car? Well, almost over half, increasing every day, 58% years ago, most consumers are going to ride that car all the way to the graveyard. These cars are built incredibly well. So it's a different mindset than before. Some people will flip it because they want a new car, but a lot of people are continuing to ride that car to the graveyard, so that the average age of the car on the road today, as most people know, is what, Ted?
Boy, average age is up there, Art. I'm going to guess 8-9 years.
12.2 years, Ted.
Wow, I'm not even close. Wow.
Yeah, and that's increasing with the limited supply issues we're facing. So now I get this car and I'm going to ride it for a long time. I had a great relationship actually with the dealer that I'm purchasing it with. And what happens? Well, post warranty, when I have a repair, and about 40% of the time in the year when someone has an issue with the car, it's a repair rather than a routine maintenance. So almost half of the time. Well, what do I want? Before I choose where I go, what do I want? What percent of people, Ted, do you think value quality over price when it comes to car repair? Quality over price.
Huge, huge.
Yeah, it's 81%.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be.
Because you're driving your kids in the car. You're driving your family, yourself at high speeds. So people want quality. Well, doesn't that seem to fit really, really well with dealers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do people go to try to figure out where to get their car fixed? They've already bought the car at a dealer. What percent of people today with the internet, or I should say this data is pre-pandemic, ask friends and family, where should I go to get my car fixed? Versus go to the dealer versus maybe even go online. This is a few years ago.
Well, I would say since trust is such a big factor, I would trust somebody I know, somebody in my own family or a close friend. So I would seek out some advice if I didn't know already.
Perfect. 86%. So I know the dealer. I had a good relationship buying my car. And yet when it comes to that important moment, I seek other advice. Okay. Now, what's the outcome over the past many years of my choice? Where do I end up going, Ted? Well, over warranty, once the warranty's over, a lot of dealers I talk to say I keep 80% of my customers. Well, 80% per year. So by year 10, if I started at 100% at the end of warranty year 3, fixing all repairs, not maintenance, we can talk about that. But if I keep 100% at the end of year 3, and then I keep 80% per year from there on in, what percent of customers do I have at the end of 10 years, still before the average age of a car?
I'm thinking it runs out, Art.
Yeah, it's 20%, Ted. If you do the math by the average age, year 12, we're talking 13%.
Wow, 13.
That's the reality. So here we are, all these amazing people working incredibly hard to create these very, very high quality, high service environments. And yet they're left with, at the average age of the car, 1 in 10, 1 in 9 of the people who are getting their cars fixed there. Okay, why, Ted?
I would think a lot of factors are time goes by. They forget the original dealer experience. We don't stay in touch with the customer. There are other factors online, other competitors out there who are seeking their business.
Yeah, see, you're good at this job, Ted. You're great. You know the space.
I'm getting it down, Art. If this doesn't work out, I can always come to you. So,
Ted, we've done the research twice, and both times said effectively the same thing. The dominant reason people stop using the dealer, even though I just had a wonderful experience, I couldn't be more excited about the car I'm about to get. The first time we did it, 73% of people said they're worried about price. The second time we did it slightly differently, 81% said price and trust. So you've built this great business. You've got me in the beginning with my car, and yet only 1 in 9 stay, and the others leave for one main reason. Even though I value quality, right? So let's look at let's do a parallel before we get into how we change this for car repair. Let's look at a parallel in car buying, because dealerships have gone through that. What percent of consumers go online in researching car buying today?
101%.
Yeah, 95%.
Yeah.
What are the two things they look for? Price
I would
and reliability.
Okay, yeah.
Price is the number one. Top reason, 71%. how many people actually use third-party sites? And do they use third-party sites more or less than the dealer and more or less than the OEM in car buying? We're not getting to car repair yet.
In car buying, I would imagine it's pretty high.
Yeah. 3 out of 4 people use third-party sites in car buying. They're looking for independent information about reliability and price because they're worried, right? And more than use the dealer themselves and more than use the OEM. Not to say that they don't use multiple channels, they do. So here's another one. If 95% go online, pre-pandemic, this is new data that come out a year or two ago. Pre-pandemic, what percent of people completed the transactions for a car online? 2. During the pandemic, what percent of people completed the car purchase online? Most folks in the audience probably know. 30%. So think about the transformation of the use of online to help a consumer in the journey of car buying. Consumers, 95% go online. They're looking first and foremost for price transparency, also reliability, because those are tied in terms of key buying factors. And over time, they're increasing their willingness to use the internet almost completely in the experience.
Yeah.
And still, the number one thing consumers still want online in car buying is price transparency further. Still today. That's how important it is. So let me spend a couple seconds about RepairPal. What we've witnessed is the industry is transforming. We have met so many great people on your panel, Ted, and we hear how they want to be transparent and trustworthy. We do. In fact, one of the words that's come up on your panel a few times that has really struck me with really, I'm honored to hear it, is people who are fixed ops directors and leaders calling the customers who come to them guests. Think about that transformation.
Huge.
Yeah. So what we're doing at RepairPal is helping what is already absolutely fundamental to the leaders in this space, transforming the industry where 8 out of 9 people leave because they don't trust, and they don't trust around pricing, to treating car owners as guests. And in that, we do 3 things. The first is we try to build clarity, trust, transparency around fair pricing, the number one objection, right? Most of the fixed ops directors I talk to invest their time on better data. That's important, right? Better ways of communicating like texts. That's important. But I believe, and I might be misquoting, Steve Covey once said, if you want to make massive change, transformative change, you don't keep getting better, you change your paradigm. I think it's time to change the paradigm in this industry. And I couldn't be more honored to have met more leaders through your roundtable who are thinking this way. They're thinking about guests. They're thinking about customer sat. And they're also thinking about fair profits for their business. They go hand in hand. Doesn't have to be a trade-off. So what we do is we certify dealers, as we have done with independents. And the key thing for dealers is using a fair price estimator we've had for 15 years, Ted, since 2007, that's built around high quality, average dealer labor rates, MSRP on parts. It's not about cheap. It's not about a price war. And we find so many dealers who are attentive to pricing, who are thinking about it, who have a dare to compare board or are getting some competitive info. They're already there. If you're fixing a Nissan in an urban area, it's pretty hard to charge way beyond what is the market rate. So people are already trying to do it, but guess what? Consumers don't believe that. They don't trust. So we certify dealers to help change that transformation, just like all the things we talked about. Number one reason is price. Number one reason is price and trust. Dealers need help. Consumers are used to using third-party validation in car buying. They need help to hear it because so many dealers are actually building great businesses, but they need to change the consumer perception, not just find out better ways to think about reaching them. So that's kind of the main thing that RepairPal is doing. I can also talk to you if you'd like a little bit about bringing new customers and recall some of the other things we're pretty excited about. But what I wanted to share today with you more than anything is if you think about it from a consumer point of view, it's an incredibly delightful experience to buy that car. Not always, sometimes it's rough, but you're so excited. And then it's a vulnerable, worrisome experience to get it fixed, filled with worries and distrust. I mean, Forbes did, a study on the least trustworthy professions. I won't mention the bottom two, right? So that's what a consumer is going through. We're here as a third party to help dealers who are already thinking about guests in this transition for price transparency and trust.
Art, we've had a number of RepairPal certified dealers here on the FixOps Roundtable, and we will again here at this event. And one of the things we hear from them is that it helps give not just the guest, but it gives the service advisor confidence in that it shows that that price is fair, the work is fair. Talk to me about some of the feelings consumers have about doing business with dealers in particular. What are you seeing out there in the market, Art?
Yeah, thank you. One FixOps director we met through your panel, Steve Hill, yeah, after he became RepairPal certified, said what surprised him most was his people. The confidence they had knowing that they're representing a fair institution, a trustworthy institution that's trying to treat people fair, and particularly the new service advisors, the new BDC personnel. They came in with a level of clarity and comfort as opposed to have been beaten down by price because they already know they're fair priced. So yeah, it's really, and people are the most important asset that we have to present to our guests. And so, yeah, watching the people feel great because they actually will say, hey, Ted, I know you had an estimate today for $1,200 worth of work that you might not have known you had coming, but we're RepairPal certified. So please know, A, you needed the work, and B, we're treating you fairly, and that's a fair price. And Stephen found that the winbacks went up 25% as a result. So having your own people inspired and feeling great about where they work, we think in the long run that will help with turnover and all sorts of things, but we're not there yet. We don't have enough history to show that. What we do know is that day by day, service advisors, BDC personnel, FixOps directors, I love visiting RepairPal certified dealers and seeing right on their desk, high quality, fair prices, because that's what they represent in this transformation of our industry to move up on trust and to keep more business that we deserve to keep.
Steve Hill at I-10 Toyota is a great example of a wonderful culture that he has been a big part of instilling at that dealership. And you mentioned trust and RepairPal, and it all goes hand in hand. Two areas I want to ask you about, Art. Number one, how does RepairPal help dealers deliver new customers? And number two, talk to us about recalls.
Thanks. So RepairPal has been around, as I mentioned, for about 15 years. Okay. We have the largest marketplace site, third-party site for understanding car repair. Our typical customer who comes to our site spends about $600 to $1,000 at a dealership. Why? That's a big number because an average dealership, it might be $250 or $320, depending on, could be a little more. Well, if you take out the simple maintenance, like the oil changes at $150 and below, or wiper blades or anything else, and you recalculate the average, yeah, that's $600. People come to our site for mid to major mechanical repairs. We have 4 million uniques every month.
Wow, 4 million every month.
For car repair. We're not the biggest site in the car world, but for car repair, for understanding where to go. And we present consumers with two things: quality and price transparency. Both quality transparency, particularly for the independents, and price transparency, particularly for the dealers. And then consumers building trust end up going to our RepairPal certified dealers. And they spend an average of $600 to $1,000 on a repair. And so by having the number one site where people are looking for this, remember we said 85% went offline, yet 95% of car buyers go online. This is only coming further and further as we go. People are going online more and more. They're going to use third-party sources. We have 15 years of credibility in service. And so we're delighted for Fair Price dealers to let a customer know that's a safe place to go.
Love it. And about recalls, because I see a lot of recalls in the news. You know, how does that play into this, and how does that factor in?
Yeah, so we launched a recall checker not that long ago.
Oh.
Guess what percent of people coming to the recall checker actually had a recall? 30. So we have 4 million uniques. It's not across the whole site, but in that area, and we're expanding it across the site as we go, 30% did. Of those 30%, we, from an initial launch, are directing 11% to dealers. So they're trusting us in the process. And guess what else, Ted? What do you think the average age of a car on the road, of a car not on the road, a car with a recall through our site is? What's the average age of those recalls?
Boy, there's newer vehicles with recalls. I know that for a fact. I don't know, Art.
12 years.
Wow.
So think about it. Right when a dealer is just on the downward side of keeping a customer, right? 100% at year 3, 80% year 4, 80 down to 20% at year 10, 11%, 13% at year 12. We're bringing those recalls to dealers. Now, here's how it all comes together. If 30% of the people going through the recall checker have a recall, why is that? Why are there so many cars in the road with recalls? Clearly, there's new recalls all the time. But more importantly, what's the number one reason consumers don't get a recall fixed? Don't check in a recall, don't get it fixed. The number one reason, it's the same reason dealers lose business over time, is they're worried the dealer will try to sell them more during the visit. It's a trust issue yet again for recalls. Recalls free. And guess what? We find that most customers do have more work to be done. Of course they do.
Of course we do. Yeah.
They want to go to a place that's going to treat them right, that's fair priced, so that when they have to get that work done, not only do they get the recall done for free, and they also are told other work to done, they know they're in a trusted place. It's part of the transformation. And with something as powerful as a free recall and a safety recall, and the number one reason people aren't getting it done is because they're worried about going into the dealership for a free repair around something safe, right? This is the transformation that we're trying to help. And I see it already in the leaders in, on your, roundtable. I see that people are ready for this transformation to change the nature of our industry with high quality service, with great businesses, with profits.
And Art, I think the people who are watching today, they are the better dealers, the better dealership managers. Those are the ones who are good and want to get great, and those who are great who want to get even better. So I do think we have that small percent who want to take the lead, and we see that now with what RepairPal is doing, Art. So
here's an idea for you, Ted. Okay. How about thinking, and I'm not recommending, but thinking about, instead of the Teddings FixOps Roundtable, the Teddings FixOps Revolution.
Ooh, boy, that's catchy,
Because
Art.
You're right. The people who are here today are the leaders of the industry. And we believe we're honored to be part of this transformation for these incredibly high quality businesses, now bridging the trust gap with consumers to provide them the information they need because they're running fair businesses, and helping them in that regard. Anyway, it's just a silly idea, but
Art, I want to remind our audience two things today as you listen to Art Shaw, everybody. Art is the CEO of RepairPal, talking to us about some of the fundamentals in our industry. RepairPal understands our business. They work with dealers, they work with consumers, they understand the needs of consumers. And the dealers who are RepairPal certified dealers are now at the top of the chart. And I would encourage all of you to reach out to Art. You see at the bottom of the screen here, the ticker, repairpal.com/dealers. I encourage you to go there. There's a form you can fill out to get more information. Have Art and his team get in touch with you so you can become RepairPal certified and continue to build that trust. And Art, I also want to thank you on behalf of the FixOps community, because the keynote that we're all hearing Art delivered today, we're all able to come here and be a part of this event, and it's complimentary for the audience to come in, listen, weigh in, and communicate and network with each other and with Art. And that wouldn't be possible without companies, great companies like RepairPal, who are some of the big standard bearers and supporting the FixOps Roundtable. So Art, I want to thank you genuinely on behalf of the FixOps community for all that you and RepairPal do for FixOps.
We're delighted to support what you're doing, Ted, and honored to be part of your community.
Everybody, it only gets better. Art Shaw, the CEO of RepairPal, with us today at the FixOps Roundtable. Thank you, Art.
Automotive repair is one of today's biggest necessary expenses. It can throw a consumer's budget into a tailspin. With 3 out of 4 customers going online to research prices, how can a dealership best position itself for success online and show that they are fair priced? That's where RepairPal can help. Each month, millions of customers trust RepairPal and our Fair Price Estimator to find high-quality auto repair at prices they can feel confident about. Customers input their vehicle information, select a service, and get an estimate range for their location. Estimates are calculated with regional labor rates, in addition to OEM and aftermarket parts prices. We don't compare facilities to one another in our estimator. Instead, we independently establish a fair price guideline that certified dealers abide by. Our estimator helps consumers understand what's involved in a repair and gives them the confidence to book an appointment at your dealership. What's more, you can include our estimator widget on your own website for third-party validation of your fair pricing. Learn more about our Fair Price Estimator at repairpal.com/estimator.
Here at FORTSTOCK, we're all about going with the flow. Here to show us the ropes is the new Parts Mindset panel. Up next.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. This is a panel on the new Parts Mindset. We began this discussion last May, and we're very honored to welcome back Haney, Nick Gianake, Michael Weldon, Shawn Parrett, and Jeremy Stevens. Everybody on this panel is a superstar now on the roundtable. So honored to have you all here, everybody. And Ellen, let me start the questions off with you. Our last panel was received extremely well. And Ellen, thank you for helping put all that together. Ellen, what are your main focuses for the parts business for the balance of this year? Here we are in mid-September. We got about 3.5 months left. We're coming into the fourth quarter. And I pertain to online sales, front end, wholesale parts, accessories, ramping up stock, et cetera.
So right before I left for vacation a couple weeks ago, we started ramping up on a lot of maintenance and basic stuff like that. Nissan's really pushing accessories this year along with tires. So we're trying to really push business through the service drive, look at some kind of information in order to get some business moving out and everything like that. Nissan started a new like advertising type of thing, the email blasts and stuff like that. So we're really just trying to end the year really, really strong, get involved in the accessories and get cars in and out as quickly as possible.
Okay. Love it. Nick Gianake over at Greeley, Ken Gar Ford. What's your agenda?
Well, basically what we're doing, we're ramping up our stock for the end of the year. We're, getting things set for our wholesale. We got a lot of fleet business out here in northern Colorado, so that maintenance items is a must. We're doing a lot of cleanup and inventory. This is my first year here at this store, and it's just been a big clean sweep of straightening things out and getting everything's really ready for 2024. But I'm looking forward to the end of the year wrap up. With it's amazing.
A lot going on. Mike Weldon, how about out at Santa Rosa, California at Hansel? You got a lot of nameplates there.
Growing the business, Ted. I think that the biggest thing that we concentrate, Ellen hit on it initially, is when the pandemic took off, inventory was limited. Accessories became a big focal point to drive some of the process and add some additional depth to the vehicle purchase, and that's boded well, and so we're continuing with that. Naturally, as we get closer to the end of the year, is inventory control. The other big aspect of the business, and we really have really embraced this, is tires. We've increased our breadth across the entire company, and everybody can buy from each other's inventory. We just trade back and forth, so we're pretty competitive in the market. And then we look for any and every other opportunity. We also have a collision center where a lot of the manufacturers now are incentivizing us to buy their products and put them in. And there's programs out there that benefit the group. So anything to be progressive and grow, that's what we're focusing.
Mike, I've been out to your stores. Tires take a lot of space. Do you stock them on site there? And if so, where?
We do. I mean, we've got several large warehouses. We went in. I've got some progressive parts support, some staff management, and they've gone in and revised their facility, and they did a very good job of utilizing the space more effectively. And now I can parade the other staff through there, and they get a feel that we're in the tire business now. We don't have them all over the place.
Shawn, Parrett, let me start with congratulations. You're at a new location. Give us the lay of the land on that. Tell us what you got going before we go into the panel.
And so I am parts manager for, it's a very long name, Mercedes-Benz Van Center Warner. Okay, so there's a lot of Mercedes-Benz dealerships that can sell Sprinter vehicles. But we are the only standalone Sprinter dealership in the United States. Just give you, we have 28 bays. We sell, hundreds of vehicles a year. We're just not into Sprinter. We also sell Ford Transits and other commercial vehicles. Our owner is pretty much one of the founders of Automobiles and selling in dealerships in Salt Lake City as well. So we're established dealership, not so much as a group, but we do have a very big footprint here with our different businesses that all fall under commercial here. So.
Shawn, that's amazing. Okay, so back to the panel. Looking out over the balance of the year, what are your plans?
Well, the biggest thing for us is wholesale as always. We want to expand to a larger region. And a great thing about being here in the Midwest, almost like Nick, is there's a lot of real estate out here. So, for us, there's, different states. You have Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Arizona, and part of Colorado. What we want to do is not just expand to those businesses that we know will buy from us and they know about us, but to expand to those businesses that just might look for they might get a commercial or Sprinter vehicle in once every few months, or a van lifer in every, maybe once a year that somebody broke down, and get to the little small towns and those businesses that when the vehicle pull up, they might just have to Google somebody. Maybe they find us, maybe they don't. But how do we let them know that if they're in the middle of Wyoming, that we can get parts to them next day? So that's going to be one of the things we're expanding as far as the wholesale. And then also going into our fleet accounts, like Nick dealing with also, is why if they're not servicing our vehicles with us and they're doing in-house, if they have a shop, where are they buying their parts from? Why are they buying their parts from, whoever it is? Is it because they stock their shelves? Is it because of service? Is it because of pricing? And that's what we're focusing on for the last quarter of the year here.
Wow. Excellent. And congratulations on the move. Jeremy Stevens, what do you see looking out for the balance of 2023?
So I got 2 stores that are real big in wholesale. So we're really dialing into that and dialing into our deliveries. There's a lot of competition in our area, so getting parts there fastest is real key. And then I have another store that has a huge online presence, and he's, month after month dialing that in. So he's expecting great numbers from that.
Jeremy, let me start with you. A lot of the people I've met this time around on the Roundtable, it seems, have started their careers some way, somehow through the parts department. They may have been a driver. They may have been a picker. We just had a dealer on here whose grandfather started the dealership as a parts picker. Okay. So I think an extremely large number. So question for the group, and I'll start with Jeremy. What are the 3 major things you look for, Jeremy, when you hire somebody for parts, a parts person? What are some of the attributes that come to mind?
So the first one is, just customer service. Are they friendly? Because I got so sick and tired of hearing people say parts, hold please, and that kind of mentality. So I'm trying to clean that up to where, they're friendly, they're bubbly on the phone. And, Shawn was great at that. He was the first one that wants to Google reviews from his parts department. So I kind of took that to another notch. And it's like, just listen to phone calls, because we have a lot of missed opportunities in parts. And the second one is just computer savvy, that 100% works the software as what it's designed for. So everybody's pressing the right buttons and stuff like that. And then finally, just a get it done mentality, where if we don't have it, what are you going to do? You're just going to tell the customer that we can't have it for 2 or 3 weeks, or you're going to go and see if you can source that from somebody else. Just that, that extra step, basically.
Ellen, you're Jeff Schmidt Automotive Group. Your family's been in the business for some time as well. 3 major things that you look for when hiring somebody in parts.
Usually from my perspective, we're kind of starting almost always with a driver, at least from our dealership, because a lot of the times we're looking for someone to grow. We're finding people at the end of their career that we're eventually going to replace. So I'm looking for someone who wants to start a career instead of just starting a job. So one of the first questions that I ask is kind of like, what are your expectations of your long-term goals in this position? I know that this position isn't necessarily what you're looking for, but what do you expect to get out of it? So I'm starting at the low end, hoping that they're wanting to reach higher up in the whole industry as a whole. And I'm looking for someone who's extremely trainable, someone who's open-minded and willing to come in, kind of start somewhere and be willing to take direction and learn. I also really like to hire, kind of like what Jeremy was saying, like a bubbly personality. My counter person specifically, she is one of the happiest people on the phone. And for me being the manager, sometimes it's kind of hard because they'll call and they'll ask for her. They don't ask for me anymore because she's so willing to talk to them. And, she's bubbly and they want to get to, just kind of interact with her on a general basis. So just someone who's, just ambitious and wanting to be there and willing to learn.
Excellent. Nick, you recently made a big move and going over to Greeley. What are the 3 major things you look for?
Well, I got a really solid team here I'm very proud of, but if I do need to replace them, the first thing it is compatibility, because we do have a pretty good organization, and to make sure that they have the right mindset. I am also love to grow people and to bring them up through the group. We like to hire a lot of women. My next one, I'm looking at to bring on another female part of it. I have 2, 3 now, and to expand that growth would be awesome in that aspect as well. But as Jeremy and Ellen both said, I agree with them that it's we have to grow our stores from and cultivate them, because if we don't, all the older guys are they're seasoning out. We got to bring in, capture new people. And so, it's in humility and integrity that, that I'm looking for. And the bottom line is, being able to be a part of a team,
Jeremy, a quick follow-up to you. Is it difficult to find that mindset in people that you're looking at today?
I mean, it's challenging for sure, but recruiting's tough anyway. The worst thing you do is just wait till you desperately need somebody. So we're always recruiting, at restaurants, wherever it is. I always try to find that diamond in the rough, basically. If they got the character integrity and if they got that bubbly personality, then it's just always searching.
Yep. Mike Weldon, how about you?
I think we do our best when we promote from within. I mean, we're all strapped with retention. We're all strapped with staff that is senior in their craft, getting ready to start a new phase of their life. So we find it's best to really pour into the people that we bring into the industry and see where we can take them, regardless of what aspect of the business. But I think it's, and everybody here has pointed out the very important pieces here. You got to be friendly, but you got to be articulate, and you got to be analytical, and you got to be able to phase this thing through. And we've done quite well. We just promoted a couple of young people, and they're doing a tremendous job for us of late. And I get excited when I see that, because I get to help them progress their careers and take them where we can take them.
Love it. Shawn, Parrett, how about you?
There's three things I basically look for and the one thing is, nobody's spoken about this, is how do they handle stress? I mean, it's easy to have customer service and keep your cool when you're dealing with a retail customer, but it's being able to handle stress from within when you're dealing with your other teammates, when you're dealing with technicians, when you're dealing with service advisors. And how do you handle that stress? You can have a problem with somebody, the next thing you know, could make a mistake if you don't handle it right, or it ruins your day, or affects how you handle the next person. So I look at how they handle stress. Second thing is, I want to have retail customer service. I mean, you can go to a Nike store, Louis Vuitton store, any retail establishment. Everybody has customer service. Yeah, everybody knows the auto parts department, usually like how you mentioned, they pick up the phone, parts or stuff like that. Usually we're not known for our customer service. So I want the same type of retail customer service we all expect after work as our employees have during the workday. And the other thing is a team-oriented culture, that they want to be part of the team. It's not I or me. I want somebody who sits there and says, you know what, I'm going to put this part away because my mother does not work here, or, they're going to worry about how it affects the other person. They're going to want to help the teammate. So I want somebody, like I said, team-oriented, retail culture, customer service, and also how to handle stress. I think those three things are not thought about, because everybody usually worries about experience is the number one thing they ask about. But I think we all our employees learned, the person you hire can learn, but those three things, either you have them or you don't.
Love it. I want to ask you all about who you're seeing as competitors to the dealership parts game. And Shawn, I'm going to start with you. Before I do, I saw some posts that you had on social media back in August. Looks like your beautiful family, had a chance to visit the New York City area, and it looks like maybe even Washington, D.C. Were you a part of that trip, Shawn?
Yeah, we took a week off, flew back to Maryland for the first time since being here. And the great thing about the East Coast, different from the West Coast, you can get everywhere in about 2 to 3 hours. So, I mean, from New York to the beaches in Maryland and Delaware, to Virginia, to DC, to, Orioles games, Raven game. Yeah, we knocked them all out in 1 week. Here, we'd still be driving around Utah, so.
Well, like you said, you're covering a lot of territory. So is Nick as well.
Sir.
So, Shawn, what are you seeing, especially now in your new position, as competitors or potential competitors, or maybe up and coming competitors into the dealership parts game?
Well, we always look at our other dealerships. No matter what franchise you are, you're always going to look at your crosstown rival dealership as your competitor. But the thing is, though, we all have the same problems, so parts are running late, back orders, we all deal with that. I think we all realize, especially when you get into the European game, is that WorldPack is, no matter what city you're in, WorldPack is your number one competitor, because they're going to have more drivers than you. They have an online ordering system that's better than anybody has. They have the inventory. So they have all the options to get your customers' parts better than you do. And they have pricing. So I think sooner or later, the other companies that's already kind of dabbling into it, such as AutoZone, Advance, CarQuest, O'Reilly's, they're already doing it, but they're doing it on a lesser scale with the cheaper parts. I think sooner or later, they're really going to get the mindset and get organized like WorldPack. And then you also have the ones that are really good for your customers, your retail customers. I mean, everybody knows about Amazon and eBay, but there's FCP Euro, there's AutoHouse AZ. You have all these internet companies that can get your customers parts in a day or two, no problem at all. And it's increasingly hard unless you change your methods of getting your retail clients, because people just doesn't get in a car and drive to the dealership when they need parts anymore. They might do it when they're here. They might do it for something specific, but 9 out of 10 times they're going to order it.
Yeah,
You got that right.
Yep.
good points. Thank you, Shawn. Jeremy, what are you seeing?
Basically the same. There's a lot of, Advanced Auto and O'Reilly's, it's like they do the cluster model. So around our area, every town has these 3 identities, and that's, and it's really the faster deliveries, the more sales you make. And that's why they're so close. So that one, and of course, online, the online presence too. And here they're putting a lot of tire stores here now. So tires, there's it seems like there's 2 or 3 tire stores in every town. So that's also a competitor for us.
Oh, interesting. Ellen, what are you seeing? And there is a lot of competition coming, and we're seeing all that now.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of vendors that are popping up in our area. Rock Auto is a big one, kind of like AutoZone, O'Reilly's. We get a lot of Rock Auto, especially with discontinued parts or parts that are hard to find right now. Our goal is we're trying to almost just use them to the best of our advantage, if making accommodations for the customers. Jeremy brought up a good point on the tire situation. A lot of the tire companies are giving out 2 free oil changes, or, here's 20% off if you buy certain things from us, the tires, stuff like that. And vendors like Dealer Tire and stuff are coming out with like their buy 3, get 1 for $1, and they're trying to compete, helping the dealers. But for the most part, I think mostly the availability of parts right now is where most people are struggling. And like they brought up, you can sit from your couch and order parts and they'll be here the next day, compared to some parts from the dealership that's going to take 2 to 3 days, depending on where they're coming from. So customers are really looking at convenience now, even if it may not be as a reputable part or an OEM part, whatever the convenience is coming up to be.
Wow. So Ellen, you see that convenience as becoming a bigger factor than before, at least.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, what do you think in terms of competitors and potential competitors?
Everybody's hit it on the head with this, online presence. Rock Auto is a big competitor of ours out here. But, just recently, just a quick story, we had a customer come to the counter, wanted to buy a part from us, and it was like $600-700. He agreed to buy it, but walked away from the counter and came back and said, "No, never mind. I want to cancel it. I found it at Amazon for $250." That there is hurtful, but we can't touch that. We try to present the value, but he was in a time crunch. Hopefully, he understands the responsibilities of buying from Amazon is the fact that the lack of warranties and all of this stuff and return processes compared to buying at the dealer. But, for the most part, yes, I got an O'Reilly's in the same parking lot as my store. So, I got to compete with them as well, but online is a big key factor out here in this, more rural areas, because people don't want to drive to go to the dealer. They'd rather have it shipped to their house.
Convenience. Yeah. Mike Weldon, what do you say?
Well, I believe you're your only competition. So we've gotten deep and heavy with analyzing what these independents are doing, and then taking some of their skill sets and then putting those into our business model where we can compete with them effectively, like online purchasing. We've dabbled in Amazon. We've We built relationships with WorldPac. In fact, we were a major supplier for WorldPac for a number of years. And so you just we try to break those down because we're more in a new metro area. So the competition is pretty heavy, but we try to eliminate the competition by being able to provide the same services, timely deliveries. We'll mail it. We'll do anything and everything to get our presence known out there to where people want to trade with us.
And Ted, if I could add one thing on the competitor side, one thing advantage that we have, of course, we got the knowledge in OEM parts, but also, usually parts, they don't turn over quite often. Usually when you have parts guys, they're stable. And, these aftermarket, you go in there every month and there's new drivers, there's new counter people. So it's basically like car sales, it's like a relationship that sells to parts and stuff like that. And I think that's the advantage that we do have over our competitors is we have a consistent staff that's knowledge. And if we hire these people, like we said earlier, the friendly, bubbly people, then we should be able to offset all this.
Okay, great point. Last question.
People buy from people.
That's
right, Shawn. Yeah, and we're in the people business.
Buy from people. That never gets old.
Yeah, right. And I know all of you make relationships a huge part of what it is that you do there. And that's why you stand out. I want to ask you the last question for a panel today and appreciate all of your time, everybody. We talked about this a little bit at the last event, and I want to follow up with all of you now. Mike Weldon, I'll come to you first. Do you all think that parts ordering is going to be changing as we look into our crystal balls over the next few years, the way we order parts? Things with less staffing in dealerships, more online presence like you're talking about right now, perhaps technicians sometimes sourcing their own parts. Do you think that process is going to evolve and change? Mike Weldon, I'll start with you. We'll go around the horn.
I think our business as a whole is going to evolve and change, and we're going to have to adapt to it as quickly as we possibly can. I think the important thing is you've got to identify and try to be a forethought thinker and move forward, trying to determine how your business is going to run in the next 2 to 5 years, and then move in that direction as quickly as you can. I think convenience is a big factor. So therefore, people are not going to be willing to wait. They've learned over the last 3 years that they're going to get it quick. And if they are, then we've got to adjust to that. So that means our ordering and our stocking parameters have to change, and we have to have fast moving parts, and then build the relationships. We're lucky because we have multiple franchises, some overlapping, and we have some relationships with other dealer associations to where we can pull from each other and that's where you're going to have to really rely on is your network to grow your business.
Excellent points. Shawn, Parrett, what do you think? Change coming?
We've all been waiting for change for a long time, and from 20 years ago, things has changed, but not a lot. But I think there's going to be a lot of things that are more streamlined. I think you're going to look more as the parts advisor that might look up the parts, sell the parts, pull the parts, do whatever. I think it's going to be more streamlined where we're going to have more infrastructure where you might have a parts advisor, say for service, that never get out of their chair except for breaks, that all they're doing is looking up parts. And you're going to invest more in your parts pullers, your parts stockers, and those people that are going to basically get the parts to the technicians. I think that your parts department's employees will probably go down because you're going to have managers that are going to be, doing more than just looking at inventory for 3 or 4 hours a day, because your manufacturers are already doing it with your parts eyes and your stock pros and your rims, that they're basically controlling your inventory, what's brought in and out. And we're also our diversity or breadth of parts isn't what they used to be, because things have become more streamlined that way. So I think, you're going to have, like I said, more guys running around, which in the scheme of things brings your expenses down, because now you can invest in, say, a few good parts advisors and basically have everybody else as your infrastructure.
Excellent points. Jeremy Stevens?
I think what's going to change a lot from the service side, where we had the ability to price the labor and parts quickly, that's kind of linked into your inventory. I think we're behind on times on that part of it. And I see software that's starting to get to that point. It's just never 100% accurate. So there's still one. But technicians looking up parts, I don't think I have some techs that would like to, but then when something goes wrong, they come running to parts. But if you ever work with a bad parts department, you know the value of a good parts department and counter people. So I think they're going to be there for still.
All right. Very valid points. Ellen, what do you think? Is parts ordering going to be changing in the next few years?
I do think it's going to be changing a little bit. How I think it's going to be changing, I'm not positive. Going off of everyone else, Nissan's actually giving access to some of the technicians for the catalog. It's been beneficial for us just in general because our techs are in 3 different buildings and our parts department is only in one of those buildings. So it's been more of like a guidance type of situation for the technicians. But for ordering parts, I'm not really sure. You know, you get a bunch of customers and stuff that think they're looking up their own parts online and they come in and they're all jacked up. So I think it's still going to be necessary to have parts people. I'm just not sure because the industry changing in general, I think is going to go more toward technology and convenience. So I think we just kind of have to wait it out and see what our best course of action is going to be.
Yep, I'm hearing that from all of you. Nick Gianake, bring it home.
Well, basically, I agree 100% with everybody on the changes that are the evolution of the parts ordering. One thing that is, the one thing that wasn't brought up was, in the wholesale side where we have the repair link and the parts trader and the collision links and, the CCC program that helps, those shops order parts and get it streamlined. I think in the near future that they're going to be more adapt online for customers to go on our websites and order stuff. But I don't think that that's tomorrow. I think we have a lot of work ahead of us on that because we depend, people depend on people. Like Shawn said, it's a people, people versus people here. We it's not the AIs. We got the challenges and the experiences that go along with it that we can help those whatnots and those things that customers can't figure out. I think it's going to be a long time coming for major changes, but minor changes. Yeah, I think we're close, but not there yet.
What a great experienced panel. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Ellen Haney, Jeff Schmidt Automotive Group, Nick Gianake out at Ken Garf Greeley Ford, Jeremy Stevens over in North Carolina, Shon Parrett in Utah. Congratulations to you on the big move. Mike Weldon over in Hansel at Santa Rosa, California. Everybody, the new Parts Mindset panel. Great job, everybody, here today at the FixOps Roundtable.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Aaron Waters. I'm the president and founder here of OEM Interactive, the digital marketing firm that specializes in online parts and accessory sales. At OEM Interactive, our philosophy has always been very straightforward. Our people, our partners is our purpose. Our team is built of experts not only in marketing and advertising, but also in fixed operations. Our expertise and strategies are proven to supercharge your online parts and accessory sales. Sound good to you so far? Great. Head on over to OEMinteractive.com to learn more about partnering with us. OEM Interactive, sell more parts today.
You're going to want to get the best seats in the house for our next act. Please welcome Eric Foster, Tully Williams, Ed Roberts, and Shon Kingrey in the DealerVantage panel.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. We are back with our panel of A-list superstars. Tully Williams is here from the Nilo Company in Sacramento, California. Shon Kingrey with the Kaiser Automotive Group in Wisconsin, where it is still nice and weather is pleasant. And Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, Florida. We are joined today by Eric Foster, who is the co-founder at DealerVantage. Everybody, welcome to the FixOps Roundtable. All right. So talking today a little bit about technology and talking even more about data. Eric, give us a little color and some background on what DealerVantage does, specifically what it does with FixOps as well.
Awesome. So Ted, thanks for having me. Tully, Shawn, Ed, fantastic to meet everybody. So DealerVantage, we are a first-party data platform, and we provide insights into every vehicle that is registered at a customer's household. Specifically, this is really worthwhile for like servicing operations, particularly conquesting service campaigns, where you're able to identify not just vehicles you sold them, but other vehicles that your customer owns that you did not sell them, that you can get them back into your servicing lanes. That's roughly DealerVantage.
Ed, let's talk about that a little bit from your perspective. I know on the dealer side, you're likely inundated with a lot of data and a lot of information. Why should we look at getting more data on customers?
Well, we want to know that customer. We want to understand them better. We want to know what the other vehicle is in that household. We focus a lot here with process on what that other key is on the key ring when we get those. But in today's time, a lot of those key fobs left in vehicles now, so you don't necessarily see all those, and or they kept separately or whatever else because they're bigger or whatever. And so having something that tells us what else they drive allows us to build so many things. But one of the key things is it allows us to market to them properly, because we know what the other vehicle is, and that allows us to relate to that and maybe market with something that's similar.
Shawn, you were recently on a panel where we talked about different ways to market to customers. What are your thoughts on why we should take a look at that data for our customers?
Well, I think the home run here is these are customers or clients, guests, whatever you want to call them, that have already darkened your door and spent money. These are people that already trust you. And again, Eric talked prior to going before we started the session here. You know, one may drive a Dodge and one may drive a Honda, and you may not have both franchises, but they trust you enough to buy the Dodge from you. Why would they not trust you enough to service that Honda? And again, we'll service all makes and models, and I'm going to jump on Ed's, the quick lane model, but we'll service anything. We'll do it. I think somebody that already darkened your door and is already spending money with you as a client, that's not so much of a conquest. It's just regaining and retention.
Yeah. And Tully, when I went out to see you at the Nilo company just a few months ago, I noticed that between your 10 locations, customers want to do business with Nilo. They want to do business with that name, and that carries a lot of credibility. Talk to us about the data.
I think data is super important, especially when it comes to customer data. One, of course, you have to make sure that you respect their data and you house it properly. But I think what's unique here is what, Shawn and Ed have said, is that we get to see the whole family's cars, right? And when you look at a lot of families in our group at the Nilo company, one might have a Porsche, one might have a BMW, and the other person might have a Honda or a Chevy. And what we want to do is make sure we keep those people in-house, because you know what? We have a 102-year reputation that we want to keep strong. Why can't we work on all those cars? Dealerships are scared to work on non-OEM brands, very scared. And I think that as you build out your quick lanes or whatever you call them, they all have their great acronyms, is that you have to worry about, we'll service anything. It's not that big of a deal.
I think the key issue is that we want to sell tires, we want to sell services, we want to sell the things that people need every day, right? Repairs are becoming less and less because the cars are getting better, but we have to build that trust. And if we have the trust, like the Nilo family, like everybody on this panel has great trust in their community, we can then, what happens when we service their cars, they ended up buying, probably the next car is going to be one from one of our manufacturers, and that's what we want. This is really critical data. I am super excited to hear that someone is actually in this space.
Eric, let me come back to you. How do you get this data, and how can it impact our service departments? Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so all of our data is actually insurance-based. So one of the big things that we run across is people often lump us into we're an aggregator of registration data, not to name names, but we're actually getting it directly from an insurance policy. So we're providing value to a customer, we're getting consent to pull it from their insurance policy, but then it's constantly being updated. So we're always seeing what's on there. In terms of how it's used, I think the best use case that we're consistently seeing, which kind of threads a line with what Ed, Tully, and Shawn were saying, is actually dealerships that have multi-manufacturers under their roof. Because one, they may service everything, but even if they take more of a quick lane approach, you may have, a Ford and a GM, and your Ford store might be absolutely crushing it, but your GM might be a little bit behind and you're not fully at capacity. But by using our service, you're able to see even the vehicles that you sold a Ford to, maybe they have another GM in that location. So you're able to sort of cross-pollinate all of your customers to drive them back into the store that needs that little uptick in the servicing lanes.
Eric, you're working with a lot of stores. Have you heard of success stories where collecting this, the dealership's own data can really help that dealership?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to kind of like repeat myself a little bit there, but like the biggest success story we have is I literally met with a dealership. Biggest opportunities that we see, I was talking with a dealership that had a Kia, they had a Hyundai, and then a GM location, right? And the Kia and the Hyundai were like crushing it. They were full up until November. Now the GM was saying, they're full until tomorrow morning. So what they were able to leverage with our data was pull the other GMs they found from customers that had bought from the Hyundai as well as the Kia store. And now we work directly with the BDC there to drive outbound conquest campaigns to understand, okay, there's GMs in the household for other locations. We may not need it specifically there, but we need it in that GM location. So let's get those other customers we have a relationship with to be servicing their vehicle at the location that we really need that uptick in.
Let me open this up to the panel, to Tully, to Shawn, and to Ed, and of course to Eric as well. Gentlemen, how do people usually feel about us collecting data, okay, in terms of, ensuring how we're going to use it and if they're okay with it?
I'll start. So I think that the issue is that you have to be respectful. If you have a sales department that is attacking all of the data, people will not like you at all, and then they will opt out on everything. Our goal is for everybody to opt in on texting so we can communicate with them. Not really to market them as much, is to communicate. Customers want to be communicated with their cell phone. They don't want to be emailed, and they don't want to be called. And I think that the importance of your company saying that this is what we do for your data. Yes, we might email market you or call you. Yes, that we're a business, but we also respect your privacy and we respect your data. And of course, we're never going to sell to anybody.
And I'll take it and go from there. A lot of it's the approach. And like Tully said, a lot of dealers are afraid to step outside their OEM. Well, there's some that we can't step out into. And if we have that information, now we can determine internally, can we do that on that vehicle? And then we can hit them with a more promising approach that, hey, we have confidence that we can do this, rather than say, hey, we service all makes, all models, and then find out that they have something that we can't service and say, sorry, I was just joking. And so it helps with our approach as well.
Yep.
So I'll finish with that. Ted was in my store back in September at the pop-up event, and we got the #1 Ford store, the #1 Chrysler store in Wisconsin, the #2 Chevy store in Wisconsin. And guys, we don't advertise at all. No newspaper, no TV, no radio, nothing. It's all by word of mouth and reputation. It is about reputation. What I like about Eric's model here is, and again, I'll be like Eric, I won't mention that we all know who we're talking about, but there's predictive models out there that the information was always wrong. Like when we say wrong, the wrong was like 25 and 30%. I like the attitude here of being on insurance, because I'm guessing you're not going to insure a vehicle that you don't own. So at least if they're insuring it, you have to assume it's probably in their garage.
Absolutely.
Eric, your thoughts on using the customer's data?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is, and how we tackle all of our business, get consent first. Ask them. Provide something of value to say, hey, we're going to use this, and send it back to your dealership. They may or may not use it for marketing. Make sure that's okay. Like, it all starts there from our perspective, is not getting something where they're switched or surprised. And I think this kind of dovetails a lot with what Tully and Ned said really well, of even when you do, then don't hammer them. Like, be a professional. Run your business in a way that you would like to be treated. And like, getting consent and treating the customer first, I think, are the two biggest things. And that's what we live by as well.
We're speaking today, everybody, with Eric Foster, who's the co-founder of DealerVantage. Tully Williams is with us, Shawn Kingrey, and Ed Roberts as well. A follow-up, making this personal, Eric, and then I'll take this around the horn. Eric, how have you seen the data used that we collect to make the customer's visit more personal and maybe cater to their specific needs? What are you seeing out there in the marketplace? And then I'm curious what Tully, Ed, and Shawn have seen as well.
Yeah, so the two biggest use cases that we see for like our successful clients in terms of making the data more personal and actually talking to a customer is, one, if it's a dealership that likes to really have like a service driven, they're in person, they're having that conversation, we actually present them with a dashboard that says, here's your customer, here's all the other vehicles they have, so that while they're physically in that store, they can start that conversation. they can say, hey, I recognize you have these other ones. How are they? Like, do you need help with these? How are they running? Do you know we service these as well? So that's the first really good use case that we consistently see. And the second one that we see for personalization is we do work a lot with marketing organizations. And that's really having a very specific example of what you can do for that person based off of your current relationship with them is. That was a bit of a mouthful. So saying, hey, you bought a car from us. We'd love for you to service all of your vehicles in us. We can service them even if you did not buy this vehicle from us, and putting together like, hey, a family plan discount, normal stuff that we all see every day, but just personalizing it so it's meant for that individual.
Another way you can personalize it is with loaners. So if I'm servicing the Explorer and I see that the other vehicle in the family is a Tundra, maybe that loaner vehicle becomes an F-150, because then the spouse is going to want to look at that vehicle and whatever else. So there's elements all across the board that you can make it personal. You can personalize it. Say that second vehicle is a Tesla. Well, maybe I want to put them in a Mach-E or maybe a Lightning. But it's information. Maybe it's a hybrid. Now I can personalize that loaner that they both get connected with, and it introduces the other party to our store as well.
Excellent. Tully and Shawn?
I think that when you look at personalized data, we did this is because we have multiple stores, is that most stores are run in silos and we don't talk to each other. And really combining our data now with data like Eric is talking about. When a customer comes in and they come into our BMW store, we can say, thank you for buying the 5 BMWs, the 3 Porsches, and the 4 Acuras, right? Thank you, Mr. Customer, for being a great customer. You spent, we're probably not going to say the number, but an obscene amount of money. This is a good thing to say. Also, when the customer is probably getting a little testy because we did something wrong, when you look at the screen and say, oh my God, they bought 20 cars from us, we better do what's right. Right? We all want to do what's right anyways, but sometimes it's really good to see that this customer is a valued customer for our group. Now, if we can bring in other cars into that play, we can say that they bought 20 cars and you have 3 other cars that we haven't seen yet. We'd love to see those. Telling the customer thank you for the cars that they have will then help bring the other cars in.
Yeah, great point, Tully.
It is a great point. Tully made a good point there. The dealerships don't talk. As you know, we're stretched all throughout Wisconsin. 3 hours north to 3 hours south. You talk about, and I'm going to take it one step further. If you're not servicing all make and models, because there is still inventory restraints, you have to get into the used car market. It's still a huge part of our business. And by the way, it's where you're making a lot of money. If you're not servicing all make and models, which is what they're giving you, a vehicle you didn't sell, maybe a vehicle you don't sell. Obviously, for those that don't know my group, we don't sell imports. We're the opposite of Tully. All right, we're just strictly domestic. But Lord knows we can service them. We'll certainly try to do it. And with EVs coming out, you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you can to work on whatever you can.
Love it. Eric, if our audience wants to learn more about what you're doing, the good work at DealerVantage, on the FixOps side, what's the best way for folks to reach out? I see a website scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, DealerVantage.us. You can reach me at Eric at DealerVantage.us. We will respond quickly.
All right, everybody, want to thank you today. Want to thank the panel, Tully Williams, Ed Roberts, and Shawn Kingrey. Eric Foster, co-founder of DealerVantage, with us today. Everybody, on behalf of the FixOps Roundtable, thank you for all you do. And Eric, continued success to you and the team.
Thank you much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
the
you.
A-list panel here today, everybody, at the FixOps Roundtable.
Change. It's the only constant, especially in the automotive industry, which is always evolving. Facing these challenges head-on, DealerVantage has built a solution to increase profitability, retain more customers, and drive more business to your service department. Garage Share, a revolutionary platform that provides unique customer insights to dealerships. Garage Share delivers comprehensive information on all vehicles in your customer's garage, not just the ones you sold them.
We live in a wild time for automotive retail. Inventory supply, staffing, customer expectations. Everything is changing. But if there's one constant across all of these changes, it's that everything's getting more connected. Because that's what your customers demand. From sale to service, your customers expect you to personalize your approach for them. And with Garage Share, we provide the consumer insights to meet the customer in their household. What GarageShare gives you the ability to do is segment all of the vehicles that are already within your customer base. Don't just service the vehicle you sold them. Be their servicing center for every vehicle they own. By understanding every vehicle at your customer's address, you can proactively engage off-warranty vehicles to drive more customer pay work. The customers you keep are always your most profitable ones. And by being their go-to source for all sales and servicing, those customers aren't going to go anywhere. Everyone is struggling to build used inventory. What if you could target fully owned used cars that are top sellers in your market? The best part? It's easy. Everything's just a few clicks away. Consumer expectations are constantly evolving, and our team at DealerVantage is right there with you, giving you the tools to help you adapt, innovate, and connect with new opportunities.
The FixOps Roundtable Certified Program is designed to help preferred dealers and partners with powerful tools and resources.
Learn more at FixOpsRoundtableCertified.com.
It's time to bring the power to the people of FixOps. Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable FORTSTOCK event.
Calling all bookworms. Join Sarah Vantine and Ted Ings as they speak with Ed Roberts about his new book, Mile One.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings, and we are excited to be discussing Ed Roberts' new book. Ed, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Glad to talk about it. It's been a process and nearing the end of the journey.
Well, Ed, we're very grateful to all that you do for our industry. I got to ask you, what prompted you to write the book?
That's actually a long story, but I'll keep it short. People's been telling me for about 20 years that you should write a book, Ed. And I thought, there's no way that this guy will write a book. It just didn't seem like it was something in my wheelhouse. But about 10 years ago, I started writing notes down. I said, if I ever retire and decide that I want to put something together, or at least have some notes to reflect back on. And late last year, or actually middle of last year, kind of got pushed over that edge a little bit by a couple different things that's happened. And so it's time to write a book. And so I took those notes and turned it into a 13-chapter book, really breaking down what allows us to be effective leaders. And I wrote it in a format that it doesn't necessarily just tie to the automotive industry, because in any industry, it's all about people and developing our people and allowing them to see that they're capable of more than what they've done. And so hopefully it'll become a little more widespread than just automotive.
But it sounds like you've been working on it for quite some time. What prompted you to write this now and publish it now?
I always say that there's no time like the present. And finally I had to look in the mirror a bit on that, because that's something I've put off for quite some time, been pressured for quite some time. And I was listening to a friend of mine's book late last year, and I said, you know what? It's time for me to do it. So I picked up the phone, pushed pause, picked up the phone, called the author of that book and says, you've inspired me to write my book. So here we go.
I know you and I always share stories. You always have a lot of examples and stories to tell. I'm sure you've included a couple of those in the book. Anyone that you'd like to share with us today?
There is a few stories in there, certainly. I'm going to leave the audience in suspense on those stories, but I will certainly tell the audience that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I came from very humble beginnings and was told no several times trying to get into any industry, and then finally got an opportunity, and it has been a whirlwind since. And I've been blessed, and truly what it is, Ted, is it's bringing attitude and effort every single day. And those are two things that we control without any other influence.
But this is so exciting, and I know a lot of people are going to be eager to read it. How do you hope that this book is going to be able to help others?
I hope that people can, as they read the book, can connect with it and find a way to, if they can just pull something. There's 13 chapters. If they can pull something out of one of them and make them better humans, then we've all won. And it's not that we all win, it's their team wins as well.
Ed Roberts is all about helping others in an industry, helping others grow, helping them succeed. Everybody, we highly recommend a copy of the book, Ed Roberts. Ed, congratulations to you on all your success and all that continues going forward.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Ed.
Yes.
Ed Roberts with us, everybody. Don't go away. We have a lot more coming up at the third pop-up event here at the FixOps Roundtable.
You know that feeling when a wave hits you? Not just the ocean, but the waves of sound, light, information. All these waves carry energy. And when you amplify that energy, it builds and grows. It becomes stronger, louder, and faster. Without this energy, there is, well, nothing. What does the wave of your dealership look like? What about our industry? What can we do to create more energy and continue moving forward? I'm Chris Walsh, president of Reynolds & Reynolds, and I want to personally invite you to the 2023 Reynolds Retail Summit, where we will amplify automotive through a 2-day event dedicated to learning, growth, and pushing all of us forward. Reimagine your current processes through workshops and presentations led by industry experts. Discover how to overcome barriers to achieving maximum profitability and connect with other top-performing dealers, leaning on our collective experiences. Join us at the Reynolds Retail Summit this September at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Space is limited, so register now to secure your spot. I look forward to seeing you there.
Stick it to the man. We're starting a revolution with Mike Rich from Revolution Parts up next.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. A great friend of the Roundtable is here, Mike Rich, Vice President of E-Commerce at Revolution Parts. Mike, welcome back to the event.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ted. Excited to be here, and always fun to be on the FixOps Roundtable.
It was great to see you a few months back in Sacramento at the Nilo Company. I brought my VW bus behind me, but Tully really rolled out the red carpet, and that was a lot of fun having you on the pop-up event.
Yeah, no, it was really fun being there in person, doing it live, seeing everyone, and yeah, look forward to the next event.
And that was live. I mean, there were a couple things that we recorded ahead of time, but for the most part, that was exciting actually to have all the employees from the dealership in the audience and the Nilos, the owners in the front row. And, that was, a whole lot of fun, and so honored to have Revolution Parts there with us. So.
Yeah, no, it was a really good crowd. You could really feel the energy and the vibe in the dealership from the event. And I think it was just a very positive atmosphere. And, it's exciting to see everyone together like that and bringing the energy.
So a lot of energy around parts right now, Mike. And I'm actually really excited about this topic because we're going to talk about the ins and outs of shipping those parts and getting them from A to B. I'm learning with these pop-up events that shipping is a complex thing because we ship things of all sizes and weights from different areas. And, you've really mastered a lot of this. So let's talk about that. Shipping parts can be quite complex. There's special handling in many cases, as I mentioned, the different sizes and weights. How do you address those challenges in getting parts shipped?
Yeah, good call out, Ted. So shipping parts can be very complex at the end of the day. because when people are buying parts, oftentimes they're buying one or more parts, and then you have to figure out how those parts fit together in a box, and then how you get them on the scale and you get them in the mail. And then you have to really communicate this to the customer when they're buying, right? So it's not like you can go online and buy something and then I can run to the back, grab everything, find a box, put it in, measure it, weigh it, and then call you back and say, hey, Ted, it's going to be $50 to ship. Like, you're paying the shipping before I really do any of that work. So it's very important to be able to give accurate shipping quotes, based on the information and the knowledge that, that Revolution Parts provides our dealers. So what we're able to do is we know like the weights and dimensions of every part, and we're able to almost dynamically like look at a cart of parts and be able to, to gauge like this order needs to go into this size of box. It's going to weigh this much money. And then we're able to look up with all the carriers and then present to the consumer, here's your good, better, best shipping option. And the consumer selects which one it wants. And then the dealer gets all that information. They get back. They're like, these are the parts. They pick them. They put them in the box. They're able to actually typically look at more than one carrier and see which one gives them the most profit. Print label from that carrier, slap it on a box, throw it in the mail, and package is on its way. I probably make it sound a lot simpler than it is.
Mike, it's tricky. And every day, every week, every month, more and more dealerships are getting into the online parts platform. And congratulations to you, because you've really led the way on that. Mike, you've opened up a whole new window for parts. In fact, parts is now an exciting frontier. People have thought the opposite for many, many years, but now people are coming out and asking us, hey, what's coming up on the roundtable in terms of parts? And this online platform is very, very strong.
Yeah, no, I think parts is really hot now. I think it's been growing in popularity, really since like right before COVID. We've seen tremendous spikes, in the number of people selling parts, the volume of parts being sold online, and just the general interest, like you said, in parts, in the industry. Like, we're seeing more and more like OEMs are paying attention to parts, building out their own parts commerce programs. Industry insiders, groups like NADA has a much more parts-centered focus now, it shows, where in years past, like, parts was almost like the topic no one talked about. It'd be very rare to see a parts manager walking the floor. But now it's much more diverse, and people really see the value of parts and how parts really plays, a piece of the consumer or the automotive owner's journey. People are buying cars, they're owning cars longer than ever. The average age of a car on the road is over 12 years now. People are buying parts to keep these cars on the road, and lots of times they're buying parts to do the work themselves, and sometimes they're buying them and taking them somewhere else to have the work done. So it's a very exciting time to be part of parts.
I met with a dealer last week, and he made a mention on the pop-up that we did there that the average age of vehicle on the road, like you just said, I think he says was 12 and a half years. And the number of units that are out there, he said these are at all-time highs. And it's refreshing to see dealers who have now said, you know what, we're not going to have just silos with service here, parts here. It's all one. It all works together. Like our friend Tully Williams says, parts sells hours.
Yep. Parts sells hours, and parts is really a hub, and it does need to be connected and not siloed. And I think really successful progressive dealerships are realizing, how to on-silo all of the departments in the dealership and, have them all be connective tissue, because the car owner, their journey can start anywhere with you as a dealer. It could start with a parts purchase. It could start in the service lane. It could start with a new car purchase. It can start with a used car purchase. But wherever it starts, it's important to stay engaged with them, across that entire journey.
Let's go back to shipping costs, if I can, because those wildly can fluctuate very significantly. How do parts departments ensure they're getting the best shipping rates? I mean, look, they're not necessarily in the shipping business, they're in the parts business, but you've got a handle on this. How do they make sure?
Yeah, so I'll talk about it two ways. So like without Revolution Parts, really the way you get the best rate is through volume and through them, and you get a rate typically dependent upon the volume that you do. One thing we actually did that's super exciting, we rolled it out late last year and we just expanded it this year, is we now have this RP shipping solution inside of our platform. So what we did is we there's a lot of packages sold on RP. Technically, I think it is 9,000 parts are sold a day on the RevolutionParts platform across all of our dealers. So that's a lot of shipments. So we actually went to the shipping providers and we said, hey, we have this great volume of shipments that we're generating through our platform. Based on this volume, what rate can we get? So we basically got the lowest rates of anyone. And then we took these really low rates and we're now passing them along to everyone that's selling through the RP platform. So what we found is that dealers that are selling on RP since we launched this are saving typically around 10 to 20% off the rates they were paying. Wow. What's exciting about that, there's a couple of things that are really exciting. One, you don't have to go negotiate rates, renegotiate rates, worry that you're getting the best rate because we're taking care of that for you and you're always getting the best rate. The consumer that's buying parts now gets a better rate because you get a better rate. So there's a little savings passed on to the parts buyer, which drives a higher conversion rate, which drives more sales for you as a dealer, which makes you happier. And then the third piece that's really exciting is just the profitability. So for a lot of dealerships, shipping is a loss center. Like in wholesale, for example, most dealers lose money on moving parts around. With online parts, shipping with RevolutionParts has always been a profit center. Most dealers mark shipping up 10 to 20%, and many big organizations that sell parts online treat shipping like its own unique business unit. But by getting this additional margin on parts for dealers and shipping, we were able to take, their margin, their profit margin on shipping from 10 to 20% to 20 to 30%. So that's just more revenue back in the dealer's pocket at the end of the day.
That's very significant, especially on volume. I was going to ask you how RevolutionParts RP makes shipping easier for dealers. You've already answered some of that.
Yeah, so I think I've covered a lot of it. Like we're really trying to be a holistic platform that makes it super easy for the dealer. So all they really need to do is take the part off the shelf, put it in a box, slap a label on it, and send it out and not worry about anything else. So we do all the calculations, we present it to the consumer, they make the purchase. And then the part that I think is really neat, I kind of mentioned this, is like when the dealer gets the order, they can come in and there's usually multiple providers. So you'll have USPS, you'll have FedEx, you'll have UPS, you'll have Easy Post, and you'll have local delivery, which is another thing I'll talk about. You'll see all of these options and you'll see each of them will tell you how much your profit is too. So you'll say, oh, if I pick FedEx, it will be there tomorrow and I make $40. Click. If I pick UPS, it will be there tomorrow and I make $12. So it makes it really easy to pick the one that's most profitable for the dealership and then aligns with the shipping option the consumer picked, excuse me.
Mike, that changes the game entirely on shipping.
It does. It makes it so easy.
All right. I heard about shipping protection. RevolutionParts provides that to dealers, and there's no charge, if you're on the RevolutionParts platform. Why is that so important?
Yeah. So overall, not in parts specifically, but overall, about 34% of people last year knew someone that had a package that was either lost or stolen. It's estimated 1 in 11 packages, I think the last time I looked, are either lost, stolen, or damaged.
Is it really that high? Wow.
It's that high. It's really high. And it could be higher in specific areas than others, but around 1 in 11 lost, damaged, or stolen that's shipped. So what used to happen in the past with dealers on our platform is they'd have to work with the shipping provider. So sometimes the shipping provider will provide insurance on packages if it's over a value, and they'd have to go through this long process. They'd have to credit the buyer back the money. They typically wouldn't get the part back, and they'd have to go through this whole claims process. Or they'd have no insurance, and they would typically just eat the cost and refund the buyer the money, not get the part back. So we saw this really strong need in the market, to protect packages that are being shipped. So we partnered with a third-party company called Extend. I don't mind revealing our secrets. And we integrated Extend into the RevolutionParts platform. So now what happens is anytime someone makes a purchase on RevolutionParts and buys a part from a dealer, there is a cost, but we add that into the cost of shipping that the consumer, the parts buyer, is paying. So every package now is covered 100%. And what happens is if a package is lost, stolen, or damaged, the parts buyer actually doesn't even call the dealer back. So now the dealer doesn't have to spend the time. They call back the kind of the warranty hotline, I'll just call it, and it's all handled independent of the dealership. And the consumer gets credited back through the insurance platform that we have. And since we launched this product in January, we have 100% coverage. So not a single claim has been denied by a single person, parts buyer, that's called in and reported a package lost, stolen, or damaged. And another thing that's really cool, so not only is the dealer getting the time back, not at a loss of revenue, these guys still need these parts that are lost, stolen, or damaged.
Right.
So what often happens is when they get paid back, they buy the part again.
Okay. Interesting. Mike, you've really changed the game here in parts.
We're trying, man.
I like it. I like it a whole lot. One last thing, local delivery. Talk to us about that, because you really figured that part out early, just a few years ago.
Yeah. So local delivery is something that we're kind of at the forefront of. About almost 3.5 years ago, we first started this local delivery concept. And what it was then was we plugged in with DoorDash, and it was Postmates at the time. Right. And we basically made it so if a dealer sold a part online, or they needed to get a part, to their service lane, because in the service lane, it's all about churning the vehicles as quickly as they could. You could log into RevolutionParts, and you could schedule a local delivery driver, to go pick up a part from anywhere and bring it to your dealership. Or if you needed to get a part to someone, you could schedule someone to pick a part up from your dealership and take it anywhere. And what we found is we were able to allow dealers to get parts from their destination to either the customer or to their dealership, typically in less than 30 minutes and at a cost of less than $18 per delivery. So it was really game changing. And we've seen a lot of dealers really use this, like I said, in both of those use cases, to get parts to their service lane, or to get parts to more wholesale customers than DIY customers. But it's been super popular. I've seen dealers completely get rid of their staff drivers, which isn't, because it's a lot of savings for them. They weren't doing a lot. I've also seen dealers use it as a flex service, because what we found is it usually takes about 2 to 250 deliveries before the cost equation swings to having a driver on staff being more effective. So maybe you're doing, 300 deliveries today and you have one driver, and he can handle 300, but like once you get to like 320 or 350, like he can't handle that like influx of deliveries. And it's a lot of cost to eat to bring on another driver to just handle like a smidgen more. So instead of bringing another driver on, you can use this local delivery service as like a flex tool to provide you coverage on that overage of deliveries while you grow that side of your business. And then once you get to the volume of scale where it's a cost savings to bring another driver on, then make that investment and bring that driver on.
All right, Mike, we've learned a lot. So if a dealer watching wants to get on the Revolution Parts program, or has questions about the platform, or is thinking about getting into online parts, Mike, what's the next step? How do they reach out?
Yeah, my email's rolling across the screen for the past 15 minutes or so. mrich@revolutionparts.com. Easiest way is just if you want to email me, I'll get you over to the person that's best equipped to help. If you have questions, I'm always available too, just to talk and answer any questions. If you don't want to email me, you can always go to our website. There's phone number on there. There's web forms, all your standard marketing collateral. You can engage with any of those types of assets. But yeah, just reach out, whatever way is easiest for you. And yeah, let's start the conversation.
Mike, this is all about e-commerce, and you're squarely in the e-commerce game for parts, leading the way.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate the time, Ted. It's been fun as always.
Mike, great to have you here, and very honored to have Revolution Parts as a certified partner for the FixOps Roundtable. Everybody, Mike Rich, the Vice President of E-commerce from Revolution Parts, here today at the FixOps Roundtable.
Can you prove your groove? Filmed live at our pop-up event, this next segment features the BG Products Proving Grounds team.
Welcome to the FixOps Roundtable pop-up event. We're here live in Wichita, Kansas at BG Products. And today we have some really special guests with us that are going to be talking about some of the incredible things that they do in the proving ground at BG. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Excellent. Well, first, I would love to have y'all introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what you do with BG Products, how long you've been with the company, and what you're excited about.
Okay. So I'm Jay Erwin, Director of BG Products Proving Ground, and been with BG for 33 years. Started out, I think when I started with BG, we had about 38 employees. So been here for a few days. But anyway, my role right now is, we do we have an engineering department. We have an automotive department where we actually do on-vehicle testing. Tech services supports that. Within the engineering department, we do all the design development for the tools and equipment.
Awesome.
My name's Paul Garcia. I'm the Proving Ground Shop Manager. I've been with BG almost 6 years now. My role is we do all the testing on the equipment, so we're the guys actually working on the cars and doing the testing, and anything that BG needs to do, we're doing all the grunt work.
My name is Brad Young. I'm the engineering manager. I've been with BG for 7 years, but before that, I spent 13 years with equipment supplier for BG. So I've been in the BG world a long time. It's a great company to work for.
And I'm Cody Lyons. I've been with BG a little over 10 years now. I'm technical service manager. So what we do is we offer tech support for everyone out in the field, all of our reps. We also do a lot of training, whether that be new reps come through a BGU class, or we have to actually go out to the field and do in-dealership and shop training as well.
Well, thank you all for being here today. And Jay, I'd love to ask this first question to you. This is such an impressive campus, an amazing facility. Could you tell us a little bit about what goes into the BG Proving Ground in a typical week?
Sure. So what we do, we work strongly with the chem lab, so our chemistry lab here at BG. So anything that they have from a new product, or they want to test any formulation changes or that type of event, those items come through mainly Paul's shop side, and he does all the on-vehicle testing part. So within that, the next piece is we do with engineering, we have countless amount of man hours going into adapter design, development of new equipment. So anything that's provided new that is equipment related. So basically forming the product with the equipment, that's the key piece. And then we do, some weeks we have BGU training where we are doing what Cody mentioned, where we're actually taking a whole week, and the other side of our facility, we have a shop as well. and we bring in 25 folks from our distributor network and get them trained up to go out and do their job.
That is so amazing. And it really is such a comprehensive program that you have that encompasses so many facets of training. So congratulations. It's really, really impressive. Paul, I would love to ask you, what specialized equipment, what are you using and what kind of data are you measuring in the shop?
Well, we have, I think the main big three specialized equipment I would say would be our dynos. So we have 3 different dynos. So we have an engine dyno, chassis dyno, and also we have a motorcycle ATV side-by-side dyno. So that would be like the biggest pieces of equipment that we have. And we're measuring horsepower and torque. We're also doing fuel consumption on that. With the engine dyno, we're measuring pretty much anything you want to measure on an engine, even down to fuel consumption using highly advanced fuel consumption tools. Also, we do a lot of emissions testing. So we're using emission testing analyzers. We have that all the way from small engines to particle counters, all the way up to stuff to testing opacity on locomotives.
See, that's what's so amazing is, the Partners Beyond Products, it truly is an all-encompassing transportation experience. And you really are working with so many different layers of transportation. That's incredible. Brad, tell us about the BG service equipment regarding the design and the manufacturing that y'all are working on.
Yeah, so my team is responsible for designing new equipment, but like Jay mentioned, to connect that equipment to the vehicles, we have to have adapters. And so right now, for the equipment side, we're going through kind of an update of our equipment design. We've had our machines, our tried and true machines that have been for 20 plus years, and so we're right now going through a process of updating that design, trying to look for simplicity, operator ease, ability to have storage so that they have the tool that they need right where they want it. And then the second side of that is that we have adapters. Because if a vehicle rolls across a service drive and we don't have an adapter for that, that's a missed sale. So my team is responsible for making sure that we have that adapter available for every vehicle.
And that is so incredible that you produce and really are responsible for creating those designs here and have this enclosed ecosystem where you can really support dealerships and vehicle manufacturers in that endeavor. I love, Cody, I would love to hear, how do you keep up with this kind of volume and variation of the vehicles regarding these adapters and fittings?
Yeah, so it is a big hurdle, but every year what we'll do is try to proactively go out and get every vehicle that we can get our hands on. So a lot of dealerships here local we have really good relationships with, so we can go out and, in 2024s are starting to hit the ground now. So we're going to try to go out and get every transmission, every engine to make sure that we have what we need, whether it be I work with Brad and his team to get a new adapter created for a new engine platform, or it may be we need to have a different procedure for a certain vehicle. That's one thing that my team does is just keep up with that every year, go out and try to get every single thing we can. If we can get it when it's new, by the time it needs service, we're ready to go.
I love that, Cody. And, that just really leans into just keeping the development and continuing to go forward. And Jay, I think this feeds right into my next question, which is, what's in the future for BG regarding tools and equipment?
Okay. Yeah. So we have, again, our number one goal within BG, we're in the research and development side. So our number one part is to keep BG in the front. We have been very successful with that. Like I said earlier, I've been with tools and equipment division since it started. And, to be able to do that takes a big team, takes a lot of collab work with other departments. I think for us is to with technology being with the automotive side right now, the trends are, we've got EV to look at, we've got hydrogen vehicles, we got all these different things going on, and being able to track that and put our best efforts into, what looks to be the most solid as what's moving forward with the manufacturers is, it's tricky. So our goal is we do a lot of, continue our research. Again, from an equipment standpoint, bouncing off a little bit of what Brad said is that we've got a lot of equipment that we are updating. We do have new services that are coming out as well. So, just if I was to wrap all that up, it's keep BG out in front and we'll put our efforts forward.
Well, it is incredible to see all of the innovation that goes on right here in Wichita, Kansas, and that Y'all are impacting the automotive industry, not just locally, but internationally. And congratulations on all of your success. And it's going to be so exciting to see all of these new product innovations as they continue to come online and as technology continues to develop in automotive. With that, everyone, just wanted to say thank you, Jay, Paul, Brad, Cody. Thank you so much for being part of this discussion today. Everyone, stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up on the FixOps Roundtable pop-up. You don't want to miss the next segments coming up.
You might have noticed that the FixOps Roundtable is on the move, and that's because we are now hosting pop-up events. We are on our way to a dealership near you with spontaneous events in amazing dealership spaces to highlight the hardworking people in retail service, parts, and dealership-wide. Stay up to date with where we are headed next by following the FixOps Roundtable on social media. Right on! We're ready for our next speaker, David Reinicke from the Automotive Warranty Network.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. David Reinicke is the president of Automotive Warranty Network, a great friend of the FixOps and retail communities. David, welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. It's nice to be here. I appreciate you having me back.
David, it was great to see you over the summer. We met in Orlando at the big Ford Parts and Service Club conference with Ed Roberts. We had the pop-up event there, and it was a great opportunity to get together with you and a lot of wonderful retail people and talk about all things warranty.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to meet everybody in person and have some of those conversations about some of the things in the industry, some of the things that are changing. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to more of those with you.
And I am as well. And David, it's so timely and relevant. All the different topics that we discussed. And I want to dive into some of those today with you, if you don't mind, as part of our discussion here.
Certainly.
You've mentioned several times since we've gotten together, and I think in Orlando as well, that there's a lot of money out there when it comes to warranty receivables. You really opened our eyes to billions of dollars. What a huge part of our industry. What do you see out there in terms of any concerns in properly collecting this money on behalf of the dealer?
Yeah, I think that's really the key thing is, in not all dealerships, but I run into a lot of clients, that come to us, and maybe there's not enough emphasis, on this position and, who can properly do it. I mean, when you talk about it, again, the amount of money out there, our average client is processing $2 million a year in warranty, parts and labor sales. So, I mean, it's a lot of money to leave up to chance and, having an inexperienced person, whether it's our company or an in-house warranty administrator, it's just a very skilled position. And, really anybody can submit a warranty claim and ultimately get it paid. But we're really focused on helping dealerships and educating dealerships on how to properly retain that money in the event of an audit, because ultimately, yeah, we want to get it all paid. We want to maximize what we can collect for you, what you can collect, but we want to make sure that the technician did what they were supposed to do on the vehicle properly. The advisor wrote up the vehicle properly. So all those things go into making sure it's not only collected, but that it's also retained in an audit. So all those are very important things that, and not in all cases, but that I feel sometimes, that there's not enough attention paid until the manufacturer comes back and audits you, and then then it's important at that time. But we're trying to really help dealerships, clients and non-clients alike, really have an emphasis on this, before it becomes an actual financial burden. So.
And David, your company, Automotive Warranty Network, you have deep experience with just about every nameplate, every brand out there. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. We work with everything from Kia, Fiat. We have some Bugatti stores, Lamborghini. But the big ones are obviously the ones. Ford's one of our biggest brands. We do a lot of BMW work, a lot of Mercedes work, and all of our warranty administrators. I know I've kind of mentioned this before in our previous conversations, but all of them are very, very experienced. They have, in most cases, 5+ years of experience doing that brand, and they're not over diversified, so that they live and breathe Mercedes-Benz or Ford or whatever it is. They keep up with all the new policies, procedures, and of course, one part of the service that we offer is, we're helping to pre-audit these claims while we're processing them. So, as we're finding issues with technician comments or punch times, unsigned data, or any of those compliance type items, we're helping dealerships discover as we're going through the process. And then if we're finding trends, we're helping them address those issues so that we can help them, keep that money. Again, I hate to keep focusing on that. And I know I focused on it in the last event that we did, but we're very proud of not just the work that we do, but it's a partnership. So it's also the work that our clients are doing. When most of them go through an audit, we're very proud to see the chargebacks in the single digits and sometimes even below 1%. So we're happy with that result. Our client's happy with that result. So that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So.
And nobody likes that word audit. And you're very proactive at Automotive Warranty Network in the way you approach this whole thing, because you don't wait, like you just said, for that audit to take place, and then it's too late. The horse is out of the barn. So if you don't mind, tell our audience, how does Automotive Warranty Network do it?
As far as from the audit standpoint, so as we're processing claims, again, we're looking for key things on that repair order that need to be there. We want to make sure that there's adequate punch time for the repair that we're claiming. So, if the labor operation for a certain repair is going to pay an hour, we want to see, 6, 7 tenths at least run on the job. So we're looking to make sure those items are there. We're looking to make sure technician comments are adequate and accurate. So anything, we always like to, when we're working with technicians, and we do like technician training as well, but we like to help them understand, give us the full account of what you did to the vehicle, not just, replace the alternator. We need to know, what was wrong with that part. If you had to do anything above and beyond. So the better picture we can get, the better depiction of the repair, the better we can labor out the story in the repair and make sure that they get everything they're entitled to. So again, these are all things that as we're processing the claim, we'll identify deficiencies and then help work with the dealership on getting those corrected upstream. Again, training with technicians, training with advisors, helping everybody understand their job roles. And then, of course, that's kind of our real-time process. But we also, again, as I've mentioned before, offer that mock auditing service where we can do like a full-blown audit for a dealership and really get granular with making sure customer signatures are there, signed data on repairs, DAG reading, measurements, results. Sometimes that's supplemental stuff that you're not really looking for as you're processing the claim, but really having a deep dive on that repair order and giving a dealership what the potential chargeback would be. And then a lot of times that's, again, complemented with some training based on the findings of those mock audits. So
I was never aware, just so you know, until you and I met maybe spring this year, April, May, that there was such a service that you would actually do a mock audit. But David, that makes a whole lot of sense, because I can imagine so many things come out of that audit that you do, that mock audit, that really puts the dealership, okay, we need to focus on things, as like you just said, even customer signatures and so on, to make sure that we're, crossing our T's and dotting our I's, if you will.
It's been very eye-opening for a lot of the clients that we do this for. And they don't have to be our processing client to have us help them with that service. And, some dealer groups we actually just do the auditing component for. And it's been very, very eye-opening. I mean, we go in and we perform the audit only to find, basically they give us a sample set of 20 or 30 ROs. And it's like, well, if you were to present this to the manufacturer right now, it would be 100% chargeback because you're missing this on like every single claim. So, and that's a very extreme case, but we've been able to help dealerships, that maybe aren't putting a lot of attention on their service department and the warranty process, I guess, more specifically, and helping them say, well, geez, we're not getting customer signatures on any of our ROs, or we thought we were capturing them electronically and we're not at all, or we have an add-on repair process issue, and we help them develop an action plan to address those deficiencies that we find through that auditing service.
And I imagine that your team, because you work not just with one dealership or dozens, hundreds, thousands of dealerships, you've picked up a lot of experience so that you're aware of what a certain manufacturer is looking for and what they'll accept and what they won't accept. Also, the fact that they keep a scorecard, if you will, on the dealer in how they submit. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think, David, that's fascinating that you work with so many dealers and are able to see all these things.
Yeah, those are metrics that we help dealerships, and I'm not an expert in any of them. Our auditing department is. I can speak lightly to some of the metrics that I know of, specifically with like Ford, for instance. Ford measures the dealership on, and I know we talked about this in our last meeting, but the first time pay rate. So are you submitting a claim accurately the first time and getting it paid? Your days to submit. So how long, from the time that repair was completed till you're submitting it to get it paid. So those are all things that manufacturers generally are grading dealerships on. And, the better those metrics can be helps you stay off the radar for an audit, but it, you got it with big data and the way things are submitted. I mean, they're looking at everything, all the metrics that go through the system. Like you said, they keep it. I'm sure they keep some sort of tally on the back end of these are the dealerships that we need to watch, and so on and so forth. So, but that's part of our auditing department service is even for our clients, we watch those trend reports, those report cards. If something's out of line, if the dealership comes to us with a concern and says, geez, I'm at a 50 and I want to be at a 90, so we can actually dig into that report, and not only from the submission standpoint and what we have an impact over, but things like comeback repairs, for fix it right the first time, all those kinds of things. We can help break apart that report, help them understand it, and again, ultimately come up with an action plan to fix some of those processes.
We're speaking today to David Reinicke. He's the president at Automotive Warranty Network. David, this is the first FixOps Roundtable since the FTC Federal Trade Commission instituted the safeguard regulations. They've been talking about that for a while. They moved the goalposts a few times, and finally, I think it's this past June, it became implemented. So with the increase in security and the regulations that dealerships need to comply with, are you seeing any challenges being an outside partner to the dealerships?
We certainly are. I mean, I would say, if not every single dealership that comes on board with us, at least I would say 2 out of 3 of them. The question comes up about what are your security measures? Do you meet FTC compliance? I don't think we can work with you because of FTC guidelines. And I think it's very important for a dealership to distinguish a service like ours from your typical vendor. We are accessing the repair order data on the DMS. So we're looking at the technician stories, we're looking at all that stuff that I mentioned, but we're not actually taking any of the data and taking it over to our system. So I know other vendors that might, take like your parts inventory or whatever the case may be and extract it. we don't do that. So we're not actually, handling any of the customer data specifically for sure. But with that being said, we did find it very important, since we work with a lot of, major organizations, that we meet the same FTC guidelines that a dealership is required to meet. So even though we're not a financial institution, we're not handling their customer data, we found it very important to make sure that we're meeting all the same security standards. We've invested a lot of money into our security. We have all the checks in place. We have all of our IT processes documented, our change processes documented, and everything that we do for a dealership is very secure. We do take security very seriously. We are insured, so we make sure that we keep everybody safe, and there has never been an issue in 30 years. So.
And David, that's important because not all partners are created equal, right? So, some take it more seriously than others, but I would imagine with the large number of dealerships that you work with in the United States, you've got this buttoned up, and, that's, music to the ears of many, many dealers, because the Safeguards Act is being instituted, and they've got to comply with that themselves and their partners as well along the way.
Yep, absolutely.
Finally, anything new at Automotive Warranty Network? I see all the numbers. I see, warranty as a percentage of business is going to continue to increase. It's going to get greater. It's something that the dealership can count on with all the technological advancements, whether it's a combustion engine, whether it's an EV. Warranty is here to stay and growing as these vehicles become like computers on wheels. Anything new? Because I think you're in a great spot right now.
Yeah, nothing really new other than just like I said, when we met in Orlando, we're just kind of in this huge growth pattern right now, both from, new clients that want to come on board with us, which is happening, honestly on a daily basis. We operate 100% through referral business, like I mentioned before. So just, a lot of people trust our company, trust our employees. We're also growing with our administrators, with our support staff, with our management staff, our team leads. Which obviously I've heard, it's mentioned several times on your show by others, how important your people are, right? So, we have some just really great people that have been joining the team and, come together to make all this happen. So we're just enjoying the ride.
I'm glad I've had a chance to meet some of those people at the recent event this summer, and as well in dealing with your company. So David Reinicke, thank you so much. Everybody, David Reinicke is the president of Automotive Warranty Network. They are the leader in warranty submission on behalf of dealerships. They've got the experience, they've got the track record. If you look at the ticker at the bottom of the screen, you can see their website scrolling across the bottom, as well as David's. David, that's your personal email as well.
That is my email. Yep.
All right. David's very accessible. If you want to go to awninc.com or reach out to him via email, there's also a 303 area code number to the company as well. So we highly encourage
number is our main phone number. So it's kind of the best way to get in touch with us. We'll make sure we get you to the right person. But, again, reach out to me via email. I'm always happy to respond and answer any questions. And I love talking about what we do. So.
If a manager or a dealer simply has questions and wants to reach out to you, to get your perspective maybe on their current situation, are you okay?
Absolutely. But I think that's another really important thing is we're not salesy at all. So if you just have questions, if you want us to answer, just some warranty questions, that doesn't necessitate me blowing you up every other day, seeing if you want to come on board. So even if you just want to call and ask a few questions, we're always accessible and wanting to be a good partner that way. So.
David Reinicke, everybody, Automotive Warranty Network, great friend of the FixOps Roundtable, highly recommended by many, many, many of our dealers at the Roundtable. So, David, on behalf of the FixOps community, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dave Reinicke, everybody, Automotive Warranty Network, here today at the FixOps Roundtable.
Automotive Warranty Network is the largest and most experienced manufacturer's warranty claims processing company and warranty resource in the world. We have experience with all manufacturers and have hundreds of talented, experienced warranty administrators that are trained and certified. We work with over 1,000 dealerships in North America and have partnerships with hundreds of dealer groups, including most major publicly held groups. We comply with all the FTC safeguard regulations to ensure your data is protected and the warranty transactions we are making on your behalf are safe. When you partner with Automotive Warranty Network for your warranty claim collection needs, you are assigned an experienced, manufacturer-certified warranty specialist that will work on your warranty repairs on a daily basis in your DMS. Our claims management service is a full warranty claims administration service. From examining the repair for compliance-related issues once the technician is completed with the repair, then properly coding the repair with the proper labor operations in the DMS, submitting the repair to the manufacturer for payment, and also performing the accounting work once the repair is made, by reconciling the warranty schedule and accounting for any discrepancies in payment. During this process, we use our proprietary CARS software to make you aware of compliance issues that you need to be aware of and address to make sure claims stay compliant in the event of an audit. Our software also tracks the frequency of certain compliance issue types and who is responsible for them in your dealership, so we can help your staff better understand their roles and responsibilities in the process and help them perform their job function more efficiently. In addition to warranty claims administration, we also offer a proactive mock auditing service where we can perform an audit the way the manufacturer would, showing you what your exposure would be if the manufacturer were to audit you today, without the real expense of a potentially costly financial loss. During this process, we will ask for the hard copies and supporting documentation for a list of 20 to 50 repair orders, depending on the scope of audit requested. Our auditing team will then analyze the repairs with the same discretion that a manufacturer auditor would and assemble the information in our proprietary software. The result will be a detailed report with the value of the audit and the potential loss. We will break down each issue type by category and dealership personnel associated with each discrepancy, so we can show you the most common problem and who is responsible for them. The report will also have each included repair order in PDF format, marked up so we can show you exactly what is wrong. Each report comes complete with an action plan and a detailed review with the auditor and your staff over Zoom, so you can ask any questions you may have. We also have a team of trainers that can work with your technicians, advisors, and service personnel on what their role and responsibilities are in the warranty process and best practices to make sure everyone is performing to the best of their abilities to ensure the best outcome if the warranty work is to be audited. Our training can be recommended as a result of one of our proactive audits or performed as an a la carte service. If you're looking for the best solution for your warranty claims administration and management needs, Automotive Warranty Network is the solution for you. With over 280 trained and certified warranty administrators, team leads, auditors, and support staff, we have the resources to collect the money you are entitled to in a timely manner and help you retain that money in an audit. Please visit our website to see what hundreds of satisfied clients say about our service, or contact us at info@awninc.com or 303-703-9143.
Take a moment now to pull out your phones to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the event. Remember, every vote counts, so be sure to vote for the 5 speakers or panelists whom you think are the best and grooviest speakers at the FixOps Roundtable. And don't forget, you can only vote once, so make it count.
Hi, my name is Eric Carr. I'm the Assistant Service Manager at Nilo Audi. I'd like to introduce you to my world-class service team.
Hello, my name is Gianake, and welcome to Nilo Audi.
Hello, my name is R.C. Bishop. I'm the foreman here at Nilo Audi. I want to introduce you to my 18 world-class technicians with over 300 years of experience here.
My name is Isaac Gonzalez. I am the Parts Assistant Manager. Welcome to our Parts Department, where I will be presenting to you our world-class parts team. And remember, parts sells ours.
We've got the cool kids from Cox Automotive. Please welcome Jade and Skyler.
Welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable. It's great to welcome back friends Jade Terreberry and Skyler Chadwick with Cox Automotive. They represent some big brands at Cox Automotive, including X-Time with Skyler and with Jade, both Auto Trader and Kelley Blue Book. Jade and Skyler, welcome back to the FixOps Roundtable.
Thank you for having us, Ted. We love being here with you.
Yeah, love having you both. Skyler, I just saw you a few months ago out in Sacramento at that big pop-up event with Tully Williams at the Nilo Group. And Skyler, we got so much out of the valuable content that you shared with us there.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. It was always enjoyment to be together and also to be in a pop-up event, but also to be with the Nilo Auto Group. It was a great event, and thanks for showcasing that for sure. So,
yep, Tully's a little shy, but you brought out the best in him, I felt.
we tend to do that. We feed off.
So while we're all together here today, Jade, let's start with let's discuss the opportunities in fixed ops. Here we are in September, middle of September, 2023. Right now, given the current realities of the industry.
Ted, fixed ops is always important, but I believe it's more important now than it ever has been. And a number of reasons for that. So, of course, market volatility has been the name of the game for years now. There's this shell game of revenue happening. Consumers are trying to decide, do they hold on to their vehicle? Do they trade now? What are interest rates going to do? Just so many factors that continue creating volatility for consumers, which ultimately leads to volatility for our clients. And as we always say, that creates a lot of shifting and changing for how our clients need to be measuring their business, for how consumers are measuring their pocketbook and their dollars and their savings and the best way to spend it. There's all of this new research that's sitting at consumers' fingertips. You know, do they move into the EV world? Do they stay with an ICE vehicle? Do they really understand and have all of the data at their fingertips to decision make? And so when we think about how many pieces of our worlds in general, whether it's buying groceries or, ordering Tylenol from the Walgreens down the street, so many of those things now that we do online, it's getting consumers further and further away from us, our people, and our brands. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. But what I want to bring everybody back to before I hand it over to Skyler to weigh in a little more on just the volatility and the focus on FixOps is that FixOps is really the place where our people have that face-to-face chance to connect with our consumers. not once every 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, like on the variable ops side, but once every 3 to 6 months. And so we cannot lose sight of that as the purchase journey changes, and the definitions of loyalty and transparency change. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So, it is the most stable revenue stream we have within our dealership organizations and rooftops. And so we need to give it the right amount of focus for so many different reasons. Skyler?
Yeah. No, I to add to Jade's comments there about stability, and as dealerships, I think the FixOps section of the dealership is so important to a dealership's future. And I think when Jade talked about that stability, I think we as we start to look at the data, we start to look at the number of ROs that we're seeing either drop or move up each month, but also the important thing to make sure that dollars per RO continue to grow for dealerships. And how we do that is we do that through the consumer's lens, right? As Jade talked about. And I think it's really important that dealerships to really step back and say to themselves today, are we doing the right things? Are we doing the right things to make sure that our customers are continuing to come back to us for our business? And how do we do that today? We'll talk about that.
All right. Very well put, both of you. Some recent research from Cox Automotive shows that many of the forward-thinking dealerships, those that have implemented advanced technologies and tactics, many of we have discussed here previously on the roundtable, those dealers are seeing higher profits and increased efficiencies. We talked about repair orders per technician, and the research also found that those dealerships focus on transparency. That word has really risen to the top of the conversation now at FixOps. Optimization and integration. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that works?
Yeah, I'll start, Skyler. I'm going to take transparency, and then we'll let Skyler take optimization and integrations. And so, it's always fun to have Skyler and I together because we do come at this from very different lenses. Mine from the consumer side with Auto Trader, Kelley Blue Book, Dealer.com, and Essential Commerce. And then Skyler from really the dealership view, X time, what happens in the service drive, the profitability, the technicians, and all of those inside pieces. But, I think the definitions of transparency and loyalty are so different today than they were even 6 months or a year ago, both in variable ops and fixed ops, but especially in fixed ops. As I said a few minutes ago, there's more data than ever before at consumers' fingertips, and they have more concerns, real world concerns, doing that kitchen table math every night or every month when bills become due. And, it brings us to a place where what transparency was to fixed ops, even 6 months or a year ago, it was more about being able to check a fair repair price. Is what I'm paying for a set of tires right? There are all of these pop-up websites and places where they can check parts, they can check labor. But now it's a step beyond that. It is truly offering them the ability to research, to compare, to look at the difference between keeping the vehicle, trading the vehicle, having that swing at bat. We always talk about when we're together, Ted, FixOps, that service bay, great opportunity to make sure that consumers know how much their vehicle has increased in value. That sounds so funny to say about cars, and we're starting to see that change, but that's also a great narrative when you have an opportunity to take that swing at bat or make a plug to have a consumer trade their vehicle before model year changeover or before the end of the calendar year. But from a transparency perspective, consumers not only want to be able to do all of that research and take all of those steps online, but they also want it to be relevant when they do schedule or take action online. They want that relevant experience to transfer into the dealership, or when they call in to ask a question about the appointment that they just set with your online scheduler. All of those products and all of those tools and all of those connection points that our clients are using now to meet the consumer where they are, they've got to connect to each other, and they've got to start really making that relevant transition on store, in store, online, back, maybe in store, then maybe back online. And so, I know Skyler is going to talk about the importance of video and this, real time at your fingertips communication, giving consumers real transparency into what's being done in their vehicle, what might need to be done, the choices that they have for the types of repairs they can do now versus later. And so, I would just say transparency is a big word it feels like it means showing your pricing, but it's so much more than that. It's really about showing everything and being aware of how relevant the consumer experience needs to be online and then offline, whether that is phone, store, and back, and giving them the opportunity to take as many of the steps in either place that they want to, and making sure that that's documented enough so that you can serve them relevant content and give them relevant experiences when they do get in front of you face to face.
Skyler, anything you want to add on that? The word I hear that comes out is transparency, right? I hear a lot about that. And it's amazing because some years ago, we didn't hear anything about the word transparency. How would you define that? Okay. As well as the experience and loyalty and recognizing what those words mean to consumers and to your business today.
Yeah, transparency. I think Jade talked a lot about giving the consumer that control of that experience. And I think that that's so important to our consumer base today, of giving our consumers that control of that experience. And they want that. Just like they wanted they want to control the buying experience when they buy those cars. So I think what we've had to do is we've really, that transparency is really just come to the customer's lens and really truly understand what their needs are, and how do we build a process to fit that our customers' needs is truly more important today than ever, because the competition is very strong out there, for sure.
Ted, I want to touch back on loyalty, if you don't mind, before we move on to the next topic. Mm-hmm. But as the variable ops side of our business starts to move more and more in the direction of e-commerce, it has so many implications on fixed ops in the backside of the house. So, as consumers span the radius and distance in which they're willing to search and purchase and buy a new vehicle. I hear some clients saying on almost a weekly basis, we're not really going to get into distance retailing. There's too much risk and liability in delivering far away. We can't protect the consumer experience. We can't attach them to us for life. But the truth is, the customers in your own backyard are expanding that radius, and they are buying from further away, regardless of whether you're offering those services or not. And it's really opening up this entire new addressable market within your own backyard. It's that market share shift that we always come back to. And so I would encourage our clients, whether you are comfortable participating in distance retailing or not, you have to know that there are consumers in your own backyard that are, and you have to be putting that fixed ops messaging in front of them, because again, loyalty means something different. The places where they have serviced for years, they have serviced differently over the last few years for a number of reasons, with technician shortages and people scheduling further out. There are so many consumers, friends of mine that I know, and of course they always have questions about anything automotive related for me, but they're shocked that they've serviced somewhere for 15 or 20 years, and when they couldn't get their vehicle into that same location before their summer vacation a few months ago, they went somewhere else that they had never been before, and they had a different experience on the technology side or the experience side or the transparency side. And what had been a 15 or 20-year loyal relationship, by one time of going somewhere else and getting that transparency, experience, relevance, etc., change their entire thinking. And so, I think it's just critical for our clients to take into account. You cannot count on the person that you have always had that has just come back to you continuing, unless you are providing them reasons, transparency, experience, and relevant content to re-engage them, to keep them attached to you. And then realizing, to serve your fixed ops revenue stream, there are plenty of people out there that are looking for somewhere new to service. They don't have loyalty to where they purchased, because they purchased from, who knows? They don't know. They don't know if that vehicle was 5 hours away or 12 hours away or 6 states away. They know that it landed in their driveway and they signed all of that paperwork electronically, other than 1 or 2 wet signatures required upon delivery. And now they're going to pick somebody new to service with, maybe on brand. Maybe they bought a used BMW from a new former hybrid retailer, and they're going to seek out the BMW dealership in town. You have to be out there putting that messaging in front of them, putting your service specials in front of them, and putting the why buy from you in front of them. And once you get them, you have to work to keep them loyal. Loyalty is not just a thing that happens because you get them in and you give them the right price and you've always done it for them. It's something that you have to forever be working towards to remind them and retarget them and give them that relevant content and messaging.
Can I follow up real quick on customer convenience? And Skyler, I mentioned just a little bit earlier, optimization, things like scheduling service, that's a convenience for customers. A lot of the tools that you have at Cox Automotive help integrate that. You and I, when we were out to see Tully at the Nilo Group, we talked about the video, okay? Having the tech videos is there. Can you elaborate a little bit on any of those optimization or integration features, in our conversation today?
Yeah, definitely. And I love the word optimization because that's where we truly start to define what the consumer experience truly looks like. And I think dealerships, one of the things that we can do is make that optimization the way we actually our processes, but helping our providing a convenient way for our consumers to schedule those appointments. Things like text messaging, right? Allowing our customers to be able to schedule appointment by text messaging. And then I think there's a lot of great new technology out there. Things like artificial intelligence, companies like Brook AI, who can provide a well-rounded customer experience for those consumers to schedule those service appointments more conveniently. But in the intern, those types of things actually give time back to our service advisors and our other dealership staff to be able to really focus on that customer who's at our dealership today to make sure that experience is well-rounded and that the customer has that great quality customer experience. And I think the other thing that when we think about optimization is think about who are OEMs, right? We have our own brands that we represent at our dealerships today. And I think, Cox Automotive, one of the things that I'm super proud about is here at Cox Automotive and Next Time is that we truly have built a really strong relationship. We have the most OEM integrated platforms in the industry. And what that does for the consumer is for example, recalls. I think one of our best OEM integrations I could think off the top of my head is things like with Honda and Acura with our, what we call PAS, which is Parts Auto Ship. So that way, when that customer goes on the website to schedule that appointment and their vehicle has a recall, one, it's creating transparency for the customer. We're saving time on the actual dealership staff because guess what? As soon as that customer schedules that appointment, Honda is automatically sending those parts to the dealership and the customer gets to see that, right? And as a dealership, we get to see those. So things about optimization are a great starting point to what we see in the actual customer's journey through the actual service department.
And on that integration side, and in the spirit of transparency, I mentioned the videos, and the videos sell hours. We heard a lot about how parts sell hours, service advisors sell hours, but really those videos have come a long way, Skyler, in helping become more transparent.
Yeah, and here I think the thing that you just said, video sells hours, and the question that dealerships need to be asking is why does video sell hours? And it really truly comes back to transparency, right? When we provide video and pictures to these customers, these dealerships stand to win big. And what I mean by stand to win big is that when we look at the data, right? Jay talked about this, data is your best friend from the fixed operations side, is that we can tell you as dealerships from our Cox Automotive data that we see and X Time, we see that when dealerships send pictures and videos, they are actually going to receive a response back from their customer on those recommendations within 6 minutes or less. Oh, wow. That is huge. And I think that's so important to what we talk about transparency, optimizing your tools to meet that customer's specific needs. And then in the intern, right, 74% of our consumers that service their vehicles are more likely to buy their next car from you. So when I think about integrations is how do we integrate that consumer experience and optimize it to make sure that we're being transparent with our customers so that we take advantage of those 6-minute responses and that we take advantage of those customers coming back to buy their next vehicle from you and your dealership.
I took note on that. That 6-minute is that's a game changer right there, Skyler. Okay, finally for both of you today, evolution. What does the future of this industry segment look like? We're hearing a lot of things that this is an area, or one of the areas, that dealerships are going to continue to grow in fixed ops. What does that look like both near and in the far future?
Yeah, I'll jump in first. So Skyler said, I love data. I always bring it back to data. And as more and more of our consumer data and consumer connectivity online becomes more of a black box for our dealer clients, it becomes harder to collect that first party data. It becomes harder to stay attached to them on a regular basis. To me, fixed ops is where you really have the opportunity to overcome that, again, because the life cycle is so much shorter of when they need to make contact and connection. And as e-commerce continues to evolve, there will be an inflection point and a transformation in this business on the variable ops side for how consumers buy, as more OEMs are starting to think about not eliminating the dealer from the equation, but pulling the pieces of deal structuring and the automation pieces, which are great for the dealer too, because time is money and money is money. We all know that within our stores. We have to take advantage of every place where we can find better efficiencies. But as the variable ops side changes and you have less opportunity on the variable ops side to interact with the consumer, to have them feel your brand's energy, culture, your dealership organization's brand and your manufacturer's brand, to provide that experience that then gives them the reasons that they want to be loyal to you and that they come back to you and give you the opportunity to provide transparency to them to continue to build that relationship. And so I just can't stress enough, data and measurement of if you are winning or losing in the consumer loyalty space. Are you capturing and protecting the people that you have right now? The ones who serviced with you 6 months ago, how many are still coming back? The ones that serviced with you 6 years ago, how many are still coming back? The ones that serviced with you 6 days ago, are you doing the right things to make sure that they're going to come back the next time that they need to do something? And that just, it looks so different today on the purchase journey side, and we're going to continue to see that shift. And so focus, measure, make database decisions, and use data to know whether you are winning or losing market share, because fixed ops will only become more and more important as the e-commerce transformation starts to happen on the purchase side of our business.
Yeah, I think arguably it's already happened. It's already
Sure,
happened.
it's upon us.
Yeah.
But those capabilities, this is a really big one. Any of those automated functionalities for true e-commerce transaction, that has been solely a used car functionality for the last few quarters since that capability has really existed in automotive retail. It's not even available in all states yet, but you're going to see new car and certified pre-owned deal automation coming to market later this year and in Q1 of next year. And so that really changes your ability to connect with consumers and that brand loyalty that is so important to pulling them back into the fixed ops space. And so I just say, we've seen it, and it's had an impact because of the used car capabilities. But as we start to expand into CPO and new, fixed ops, the stability of that revenue stream, the importance of that revenue stream, and the importance of investing in it by making database decisions and knowing what's working and what's not become even more important.
I learned so much on these conversations. Skyler, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, let me just echo what Jade just said about data. In the fixed ops worlds, I think the dealerships who are standing to win big, who are being really successful, are really focusing on this data and really focusing on the customer's lens that they're seeing today, and truly taking that data to truly understand who their customers are. And they're doing that to focus on retention. Dealerships, we have to focus on retention, right? What does our data show to us? How do we market to that customer? What does the data show us? And how does that customer want to be marketed to? What are things that they're going to go ahead and schedule that next service appointment with you as a dealership, and to continue to retain that relationship? And so when I think about Jade talking about this data thing, I think know your numbers, know who your customer are, what they're doing, so that way you are 2 to 3 to 5 steps ahead of them when they actually go to get that next email that's talking about their next service appointment, right? Or to capture those lost souls, those customers that have not been back to your dealership before. how do we bring them back into the actual fold of our dealership and keep them in that life cycle for the future of that vehicle? And so that way, the next time they go to buy their next car, it's a no-brainer. They're going to buy the next car from you as well. So.
Well, Jade and Skyler, thank you very much. Wow, time well spent. We covered a lot there in just a few minutes, and I took a lot of notes. And as I mentioned, fascinating discussion. And Cox Automotive really has their ear to the ground and is on the cutting edge of all of these changes that are coming in our industry. So, on behalf of the FixOps Roundtable, I want to thank Jade, Terreberry, and Skyler Chadwick there with Cox Automotive. They represent some of the big brands at Cox Automotive that many of our dealers here work with, in particular Auto Trader, Kelly Blue Book, and X-Time. And Jade and Skyler, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate you.
Jade Terreberry and Skyler Chadwick with Cox Automotive here today at the FixOps Roundtable.
Service more cars in less time with approvals 90 minutes faster. Make it easy for your service customers to say yes to recommended repairs while maximizing the capacity of your shop and the efficiency of your technicians. Every hour, every day with X-Time. Get more ASRs approved faster. Use innovative technology across the service experience to create trust through transparency and increase customer satisfaction. From appointment booking and self-check-in to online approvals and payment, satisfy consumers' demand for easy, convenient service appointments with Schedule, Engage, Inspect, and Invite, the 4 products that make up X-Time Spectrum. Maximize your service department's potential with online scheduling, pickup and delivery options, and robust shop capacity management. Boost customer retention and dollars per RO with seamless check-in, instant access to declined services, and text communication. Inspire trust while boosting revenue and shop efficiency with consistent digital multi-point inspection processes and proactive communications featuring photos and video. Fuel service demand with powerful marketing capabilities to fill unsold shop capacity and recapture declined services through channels like email and text. Boost your team's productivity while creating transparent service experiences that help your customers approve recommended repairs faster with X-Time, part of a connected ecosystem of solutions from the power of Cox Automotive. Welcome to the power of one. Welcome to Cox Automotive. Service more cars in less time with approvals 90 minutes faster. X-Time. Secure your demo today.